The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Scott Norton, and you're listening to Keepin' It Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcasts on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll review the new Beginning in Osaka and cover all this news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, ProWrestlingTees.com/socialsuplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Young boy, happy Valentine's Day Eve.
I don't think anybody's ever, basically greeted me that way before.
How you doing, man?
I am all better from the COVID. Thanks for holding the fort down while I was out. Listen to the show. I think I could have done better, but you did a passable job while in my absence. So, congratulations.
Thank you. Fun episode. Getting ready for, preview New Beginning in Osaka. So, yeah, we got tons of stuff to talk about here tonight. New Beginning in Osaka. We got Fantastica Mania. We got a bunch of questions. We
don't really have to talk about Fantastica Mania. They got Nazi salutes, and other than that, there's not much going on with that show. So
yeah. Before we jump into our New Beginning in Osaka review, we got to do the January Wrestler of the Month, Match of the Month. Saved it for when you came back. So January's in the books. We're in the second week of February. Young boy, why don't you tell the people who our Wrestler of the Month is for January 2024?
There were quite a few candidates that could have definitely been considered the Wrestler of the Month this month, but we have to be unbiased. Doesn't matter that he's leaving the company. Doesn't matter that people are sick of the never-ending, 3-day Okada finale tour. He is the Wrestler of the Month, and this is primarily based on the body of work that he did, which was, if you're talking about somebody really, maybe they didn't put anybody over on the way out, but they did some big business on the way out. I mean, you look at the match with Bryan Danielson in the Tokyo Dome, you look at the match in San Jose with Will Ospreay, plus the fantastic multi-man tag match at the New Year's Dash, and then couple that with the 6-man title defense, which was again just another in a string of highlight, title defenses for Team Hall of Fame / the Dream Team, and Okada had one hell of a month in January and really went out on a high note.
Yeah, really great month for Okada, and normally he's a guy that, as great as he is, he doesn't always win these Wrestler of the Month awards, because normally he has like one big match or he's in between feuds and doing a bunch of multi-mans. But yeah, really great month for him. And for the match of the month, it's going to be the Wrestle Kingdom match with him and Bryan Danielson. This match highly, raved and reviewed across the board from multiple people. Big scores from Dave, cage match. Funny thing is, I don't think that was either of ours like personal favorite or highly rated match from Wrestle Kingdom or January at all. But I think just when you look at the reviews from across multiple outlets, across fan feedback, I think it's hard for us not to go with Danielson and Okada.
Yeah, I mean, I feel confident that my favorite match in the month of January was the Tamatonga Shingo Takagi Never title match at Wrestle Kingdom, and I feel like for you it was probably Shingo versus Mox in the street fight from San Jose, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, here's how I felt about it. I think that, in my personal opinion, I would say, yeah, the strong title match, or I'm sorry, the never title match was the best match in January. But we're talking about like fractions of percentage of star ratings here. Like I don't feel strongly enough to where I'm like, oh man, they robbed Tamatonga and Shingo or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, like pretty much universally across the board, the most highly rated match of the month was Okada and Danielson. So it kind of feel out of pocket unless I felt real strongly about an alternative. It'd feel out of pocket to not make that the match of the month.
Yeah. So shout out to Okada getting the January Wrestler of the Month and the match of the month there with Bryan Danielson.
Never again.
Well, let's talk about the new Beginning in Osaka, which was this past Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, big show here from the...
Bro, I feel so out of sorts with this because, like you mentioned on the show last week, I caught COVID. So because I got COVID and so did my girlfriend, I was taking care of her, and then I got it, I was behind on the 4th and the 5th. So then, like, I had to watch those to, like, play catch up, and, like, I've got all these thoughts and, opinions, but the time for that has already passed. Now we're already moving on to, this past Sunday show in Osaka. And I'm like, wait, I want to talk about, I want to talk about Hanare and Gabe Kidd. Like, what are we doing?
Well, sorry, man. The show goes on.
Yeah, very clearly so. But this Eddie and Arena show in Osaka, right now for me, hands down, the show of the year for New Japan.
Yeah, I mean, easily show of the year. There were so many great feuds kind of built up and peaked here on this show. Great matches, especially obviously the second half of the card where things have really picked up. Really great show. So let's start from the opener, work our way through to the main event, review the show, answer any questions in between. So show opened up. We had Toru Yano and Yo defeating the team of Bolig Olten and Arisuke Taguchi, 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yeah, just a fun little opener. Didn't overstay its welcome. We're talking about a sub 5 minute, opening match, and really the catalyst for the finish here. Oleg Bolton. Have we figured out what they're calling the maneuver where he gut wrenches the guy and works them back side to side over and over again? Is there a name for that yet?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. But basically, he had Toru Yano up in that position. Yo also was up in that exact same position with Taguchi. Problem is, Taguchi's not Oleg Bolton and was unable to complete his series of gut wrench, whatever you want to call them. And Yo was able to get out of there and pick up the victory here. I can't recall if he got a pinfall. I think he got a quick pinfall when Oleg Bolton's back was turned.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Oleg was doing the gut wrench thing with his back turned, and then Yo rolled up Taguchi to get the win.
So if you like comedy, this was pretty comedic and funny, and if you don't, it was sub 5 minutes, so there's not much to complain about there.
Yeah, and also to note, this was the first time that Taguchi and Bolton Oleg teamed together. I know people mixing things up with Mass Horse, Mass Bolton. don't stay woke. Don't get confused out here.
Yeah.
Following that, we had the team of Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi they defeated the United Empire team of the Prince of Pace, Callum Newman, and the Great Okan, 7 minutes and 37 seconds.
Yeah, very interesting. Interestingly enough, Callum Newman and Great Okan, the odd men out when it comes to members of the United Empire not being included in the main event this evening, but still kind of had a little bit of a chip on their shoulder and a point to prove. And then conversely, you've got Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi, the team of Bishamon, just recently, lost in the Tokyo Dome, lost their IWGP tag team titles and a chance to, I guess we thought unify the belts, but it's not going to be unified. So who the fuck knows? But either way, Bishamon looking to kind of redeem themselves and get back in the W column. They did have a victory at New Year's Dash over the Bloodline. Is that the name of the group?
The Youngblood?
Youngblood. I call it the Bloodline. Acknowledge them. Yeah, so the Youngblood. And it's sort of like, you remember when The Rock had to start back from the beginning and he had to wrestle the Brooklyn Brawler? That's basically like what Bishamon has done here. Like they fought Youngblood. Now they're taking on Newman and Great Okan. They picked up a victory here, and they're working their way up the ladder, kind of like they're in fucking Mortal Kombat,
Yeah. So yeah, they knocked off Youngblood and this newer team here of Newman and Okan. So yeah, so they lost the belts. They're rebuilding, trying to get back, climb the rankings to get another title match.
Yeah, post-match, there's a little bit of jaw-jacking between Yoshihashi and Great Okan. I don't know if that's going to lead to anything, but, Bishamon probably definitely the most, established heavyweight tag team in New Japan today, kind of the preeminent tag team. So it's probably not going to be a long while before they're back in the title picture. And this is just another, W in the win column for them to kind of make that case.
Yeah, and based off of the tag team title results later, I mean, they don't really have that high to climb to get back in contention.
Anybody is eligible at this point is what we're learning. Jeremy, I've started to, I said I was going to do this at the beginning of the year, and I'm following through. I'm paying a lot closer attention to the backstage comments. I didn't finish the comments for this night because I had to catch up on all the other nights. But I did see in the post-match comments that, unfortunately, Hiroki Goto's father passed away just a few days prior to this match. So, condolences to him and his family. And, he kind of obviously is having a bit of a hard time with that, which is understandable. Anybody would. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely prayers to his family, and yeah, hopefully, he can be focused here. I know it's probably hard for him of a time like that. So then following that, we had the House of Torture team, Evil, Ren Narita, Sho, and Yujiro Takahashi. They defeated El Desperado, Shota Umino, Tiger Mask, and Tomioka Hanma at 8 minutes and 43 seconds.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously you mentioned last week how the feud between Evil and Ren Narita and Shota Umino, it's kind of shifted away from Ren Narita and Shota Umino and over to, Evil and his title defense of the never openweight. I feel so weird because I'm on camera. The never openweight. Why do I want to call it the tag team titles?
Never Openweight Championship.
Yeah, it sounds weird to say that, though, for some reason. Anyways, Evil had spray painted that title black, which, I heard last week where you were talking about how maybe with them defacing that belt, that might mean that they're going to unveil like a new title. I get the feeling like if that ever does happen, it's not happening right now. It's going to be like a long while before they decide to actually replace the belt. Like one of two things is going to happen here. If Shota Umino win, either Evil's going to keep holding the title and it's just going to stay black and people are and eventually it's just going to wear off on its own. Or like they're going to tell Shota Umino to get like some paint remover and he's just going to like wipe it down like they did the WCW title after the NWO. Like they're not getting, this company does not buy new titles. Like, it takes them forever to do anything like that. So, and along with that, House of Torture has now started branding people with an X. So, more, the NWO DX bullshit from House of Torture. They're really going into their bag of tricks with this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's what it is. I mean, this match was short, and hopefully this is just leading to Umino winning the title off of Evil and finally do something with Shooter here. But yeah, this was short. Was kind of what you expected, and kind of progressing the feud between Evil and Umino.
Yeah, and I think it's good that they're moving Umino into that position. However, I think it's a little somewhat contradictory to the messaging. He had that match a couple weeks ago and sort of declared himself as the new ace of the new generation. But I think it's great he's going after the Never title, but to me that doesn't scream ace. I get it; it's a stepping stone, and there's definitely been guys in the past that have used the Never title as a way to propel themselves to the next level. Like Kota Ibushi did that, and Will Ospreay did that. But it doesn't scream ace. We never saw Kazuchika Okada, languishing for a year, and then after a year, trying to challenge for like the third tier title belt. Like, that man came out and won the fucking IWGP title like night one.
Mm-hmm.
Not night one, but like basically night two. So I don't know if I have like a lot of confidence that they're ready to go with him as the quote unquote young ace. I don't know if management's telling him to say that, if that's just him sort of writing his own story. I have no clue what where they're going with this, essentially.
Yeah, and it's hard too when you're kind of self-proclaiming yourself as the ace. Usually guys just kind of show that they're the ace and they get moved up the card, and you just kind of realize, oh, this person is the ace. I mean, I feel like Tanahashi is probably the only one that's really kind of capitalized on that ace branding. I'm going to call myself the ace. It's going to be my whole gimmick. But usually, yeah, you don't have somebody that's like, all right, I'm the ace now. And it's, yeah.
The greatest thing is when Tanahashi goes, "It is I, the once in a generation talent, Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace."
Yes.
All right, dude, calm down. But yeah, nothing much here. A lot of these matches were, just preview matches on the undercard, but they were very short. They, were pretty much previews. But I am interested to see where they're going with all this. Post-match, we did get Desperado and Show. Did you happen to catch the stipulation that they're kind of proposing there?
So I know that, Shohei's stolen one of Despi's masks. Despi stole the wrench, and Show's been angling for a IWGP Junior title match, but I didn't see. I know on commentary they teased like a potentially mask versus title, or the wrench for the title.
That's why you got to watch those backstage comments, bro.
What they say.
So apparently, and I don't know if this is actually going to happen, but first he had stolen Desperado's mask, Show had. And then later, after Desperado regained the mask, he stole the title, and was kind of trying to goad Desperado into giving him an IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match. And so essentially here, at the conclusion of this match, he basically was saying, like, "Are you going to give me the title match now? Blah, blah, blah." And Desperado's like, "I got my title back. I got the mask. Like, I don't really know what it is that you have that I would want for me to like give you a title match." And he's like, "How about this for a stipulation? If I beat you, you have to join Strong Style." And basically, like, Show's like, "Yeah, I'll do that. Like, I have no fear of losing the match." So I don't really know right now. I guess I don't know if they've made the cards fully complete. I don't know if it's going to be like title versus stipulation, or if it's going to be non-title with the stipulation. It's hard to tell if the stipulation's even going to happen, but I am wondering, like, I personally, I'm not a big fan of when guys lose matches and they get forced to join another, like, as a storytelling device. I don't really enjoy it too much when someone has to turn face or turn heel, or have the clash with the group that they're being forced to join, because what's going to prevent them from just turning around and being like, yo, I'm not with you guys.
Yeah, it's very WWE-ish. Yeah, it's the funny haha. All right, you're trapped in your enemy's faction for X period of time, and yeah, eventually like the time expires and the guy flips back, and then I mean you could use it to turn show, and maybe like it's a bad thing at first, but then wrestling the strong style way, maybe he starts winning again, and it's a way to transition him back. To the show that we all thought was going to be running the show Michaels.
Right.
But
and maybe that's the case. I don't know, but I'm not. I guess in the long run, if the storytelling's not the greatest, but we wind up with him being able to wrestle in his true style, we get great matches out of it. I guess I won't complain too much, but I'm not a huge fan of that style of like storytelling.
Yeah, and I guess on the website they don't have anything official about the stipulation, so maybe it'll get added or maybe not. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that whole stipulation either. But yeah, if the goal is we're gonna get back, pre-pandemic show, all right, let's do it. But
yeah,
I'm guessing what's gonna happen is Despy's gonna win, Show's gonna be forced to join, he's gonna screw things up for Strong Style, and then they'll kick him out, and yeah, I don't really see this going far.
Yeah, it's interesting though. I mean, at least something is happening with Show.
Yeah,
which is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a question here from Diego Stinger Garcia in the Discord. Says, does Umino have enough dog to politic his way to beat his generation pals?
I mean, we've shown pretty clearly on this show that we have no idea about the backstage politics of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I really, I don't know the characters of these guys, like in their personal life. I have no idea how they're, angling themselves for, projected success within the company. But, it's tough. It's tough business. Probably got to figure something out if you want to be the ace,
Yeah. Let's move on to the next match. We had the Just Five Guys team, Doki, Sanada, Taichi, Taka, and Yuya Uemura. They defeated the LIJ team of Bushi, Hiromu, Shingo, Naito, and Yota Tsuji, 11 minutes and 5 seconds.
And remind me, how did this match end? I can't recall.
So, finish of this match was Bushi tapping out to the skull end.
That's right. Okay. Now, I got to say, Jeremy, this is my chance to kind of address some of the things that you said last week. I thought the show was great. I know I gave you a hard time earlier, but I did think you did an incredible job. But the one thing I strongly disagreed with you about, and I got to get it out.
I think I know what you're going to say.
You talked about the gauntlet tag match, and you talked about Naito and Sanada having a nice, decent little match. That is total and complete bullshit. That was not a nice little match. That was the most nothing happeningest, boring match that those guys could have possibly had. And in fact, I had strong feelings about most of that gauntlet where, me being a fan of this match style that they haven't done, to my knowledge, since the 80s. I mean, I can only recall the 3 times it's ever happened. They're just, those matches are like, how I get mad about War Games matches not being worked in the way that they like would benefit the, just in every aspect, because it's like it's a perfect formula.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about the New Japan Gauntlet style match. I'm like, there's a rhyme and a reason to everything, and this feels like a bastardization of it. It reminds me of the same thing that they do with the elimination tag match. How like I love the old school New Japan elimination tag matches, but the ones we get today in Cork and Hall, they're nothing like those previous ones, and that's sort of what happened in Cork a few weeks ago. But damn, bro, except for the finish, the finish between Tsuji and Uemura was incredible. But everything leading up to it, I was like, man, these guys, did not come to put their working boots on, especially Naito and Sonata, except for the last 30 seconds of that match.
Yeah, I just felt like they moved very well in that opening compared to what they normally do. Like, they were doing a lot of sequences, even though obviously they were like going super hard, but they were still doing a lot of sequences I felt looked better than some of the Wrestle Kingdom match, maybe some of their preview matches. But yeah, that gauntlet was very kind of by the numbers, very predictable. All right, we have to do the double count outs. We have to do these draws. We have to, it was, it was fun for what it was. I mean, I think it could have been better. I think the hard thing was we have all these singles matches coming up. So you don't want to, blow off any finishes there. I think it would have been more interesting had they had like maybe Tsuji or Uemura be the one that like beats Ibushi, beats Ataka, and have them mix it up with some of the other faction guys.
It would have been better if this feud was hot.
Hey, you don't think LIJ and Just Five Guys is hot?
I think it's not a bad feud. Like I've heard some people really run it down, and I don't think it's that bad. I think there's some good stuff going on. I feel like Tsuji and Uemura definitely have like the lion's share of the interest and the heat, but it's not like something where you're like, for instance, the way they built up the main event for this show with War Dogs and United Empire, you're like, damn, I can't wait to see what happens there. Like, this is crazy. You don't have that same kind of vibe with these two groups. And when you do a gauntlet style match like that, it usually is the blow off or the culmination like of the entirety of the feud. And this was just like a stopgap with a lot of like non-finishes, and people just, it didn't really serve the purpose that it should.
Yeah, I think, they should have done this after Sapporo as a blow off, because then at that point you already had the singles matches. Then you could like, all right, the bigger stuff is done, so let's blow off the feud, the faction feud in a gauntlet match, and we can beat people. We can do more interesting stuff. You could have like Tsuji in there for like Taichi, or have Uemura in there with Naito and do some kind of different stuff like that, instead of, all right, essentially this was like a preview 10-man tag that's done in a different format.
And see, I think they shouldn't be doing it unless like everybody in the feud is over and like the crowd is going crazy and popping for every single, entry, every single finish. Like, it's just like bam, bam, bam. Like, that's what I'm used to when I've seen this match in the past. And this one didn't quite live up to that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But Just Five Guys, they're picking up some momentum here. And I guess the big thing too with this whole feud is, we've got Uemura and Tsuji, and the match that they have coming up later on the tour, they're going to do hair versus hair. And, I'm sure we'll talk more about that, but that's sort of on the table. And then you've also got Tsuji, kind of discussing wanting to go after the world heavyweight title, and kind of just telling Naito straight up, like, when the time comes, I want to challenge you for that belt, which is kind of non-traditional. We've got a few things we could point to in the recent past that are somewhat similar, but it's not very often that you see stablemates trying to challenge each other for, the world title or any title.
Yeah, it's kind of the one that pops to mind is Jay White joining Chaos and also wanting to eventually challenge Okada, and how that all played out.
The other thing too, obviously, Hiromu and what's wrong with me? And Doki. They've had a good little feud going, and those guys, I always love it when they mix it up.
Yeah, and Doki's been getting the better of Hiromu. He had got he's already pinned him in a preview tag. He had the visual pinfall after the draw in the gauntlet match. So yeah, Doki kind of owning Hiromu right now. Yeah,
and then obviously the pairing of Taichi and Shingo, even though they don't have anything they actually did bring something up. This is about as far as I got in the backstage comments. They might have something having to do with their YouTube channels related to their upcoming match. But I'm not sure what that stipulation is 100%. I don't know if it's been clarified, but it was something that they started to mention because everybody else is kind of raising the stakes and having all these stipulations. So they started talking about maybe having something with their YouTube channels, but I don't know what it is exactly.
Yeah, I wonder what that's going to end up being.
I'm pretty sure my understanding is Taichi's YouTube channel is like vastly more popular than Shingo. So I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't even know Shingo had a YouTube channel.
Apparently.
Yeah, I feel like we always hear about Taichi's channel, not I've never heard about Shingo's.
I never hear about any of theirs because I'm no Mark.
Got a question here from user Copper Squire. How would you book Hiromu's 2024 if he's staying away from the junior title?
That is a good question. Jeremy, what are you thinking?
I mean, if he's going to be completely out of the junior division, I would put him in the never.
Well, he said the junior title.
Well, junior title. I would have him go towards the never title, which I know Umino is kind of in place for that now, but I think that could also be a good spot for Hiromu. Or all right, he's not challenging for junior. You don't want to put him and Bushi together for tag. Yeah, put him as a never title contender, champion. We know he has good matches with heavyweights, and that could be a way to slowly transition him into being a heavyweight. Or if you just want him like G1 this year, it's like, all right, well, the never champion's always in G1. He could win the belt in the summer, be a part of G1. So that's what I would do with him.
Yeah, I mean, he could still compete in Super Juniors as well. There's no reason why, if you are keeping him away from that title, where he couldn't do more excursion type stuff if he wanted, maybe, domestically or in the States, just depending. And, there's always the junior titles as well.
Yeah,
the junior tag titles. So that's an option if they wanted to kind of explore that.
Yeah, you can put him and Bushi back together. You can do him and Teton if you're going to have Teton stick around. I think that would be probably more fun to have him and Teton team together.
And then, I mean, hypothetically, who knows? Maybe, I know you mentioned doing the open weight thing for the singles title, but maybe the 6-mans might be appealing. I mean, there's kind of a lot of options, really.
Right. I mean, obviously with LIJ, there's multiple ways you can cut that up to do trios. Yeah, you can do Hiromu, Shingo, Naito, Hiromu, Shingo, Bushi, throw Teton in there. There's a lot of things they could do if they wanted to go never. And hey, even like heavyweight tag, like what if you do like Hiromu and Shingo as a tag team? And
I would love that.
And they go for the IWGP tag titles.
Yeah, we need someone to come save us.
So yeah, there's a lot of different things that they could do with that. So moving on to the next. Actually, before we move on to the next match, for these,
and it's amazing how little we have discussed Sonata and Naito.
the IWGP World Title Program.
World Title Program. Like, no discussion. Like, it's happening.
Yeah,
and they don't seem to care, either of them.
It's there.
It's perplexing.
Yeah. So after that, before we move on, for these first 4 matches, Mad Mikey Nichols and Shane Hayes were a part of commentary.
Hilarious.
They were absolutely hilarious. But I was glad that they left for the second half of the show,
right?
Because it was definitely more serious, and they were just like clowning the whole time through the whole show, just cracking jokes, which they were funny. Like, bring them on for like a Road 2 show, but like for the second half, I'm glad that they left.
Yeah, I'm glad they left as well. But maybe that's part of the reason. Like, if you're looking at this card and I'm calling it like a show of the year contender, and you're like, man, you guys just ran off like 4 matches that kind of seem like pretty nothing, and it's like, well, it was pretty funny. You had Team DK like basically just saying hilarious shit, which I'm always down with that.
Yeah. So then following that, we had Kazuchika Okada's last singles match, his last match in Osaka on the anniversary of the Rainmaker shock. So Kazuchika Okada defeats the ace Hiroshi Tanahashi in 16 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah, very emotional match. A lot of I saw tears in the crowd. I saw tears on grown men, commentators, like everybody. It seemed to be very, very emotional. And kind of, we'll get to the news here in a little while, but based on what the final 2 matches that Okada is going to be having with this company, it feels like this is certainly the big blow off, like send off match for him. Because they're not doing shit like this for him for the rest of the tour.
Yeah.
But this was really, really incredible. I thought like what this reminded me of in a lot of ways was like, I know that we've talked about the great rivalries in the history of wrestling and where Tanahashi and Okada fit in that pantheon, you know? And I kind of feel like this reminded me a bit of Steamboat Savage, or I'm sorry, Steamboat Flair, but not Steamboat Flair in like 89 or in the 70s, but like the 1994 version of that match where it was like, it's amazing. Like it's still really great. It's not quite the peak that it was in say 89, but it's not that far off. And damn, like it's still better than 95% of the wrestling you're going to see this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that most of the matches that they've had with one another post the 2018 trilogy, which that was like the last really true compelling storytelling like feud that they had, and that was the one where Tanahashi won the feud. That was during Okada's red balloon phase, and Tanahashi went on to win the IWGP title at the time, coming off of a G1 victory. That was the last like real meaningful series of matches these guys had, and every time after that, it's been them playing the hits to some really great matches, some lesser degree, but it's always been pretty much acknowledged that like all these matches they've had post 2018 have been a shadow of their former glory. And I felt like of all of those matches, including the match that we saw at the G1 in Dallas, I feel like this was maybe the best of the lot. Like just very much like if you were to write out what you think a 15 or 16 minute Okada Tanahashi match at this stage of their careers looks like this was it to a T, but done the best they possibly could have done it. And I loved the match. Like this is one of my favorite, series of matches of all time. And I feel like this was a really, really, really high note for them to go out on. And of course, at the end, Okada beat Tanahashi. I know there's people that are going to be angry about that because they think he should be, putting somebody over on the way out. But it is Tanahashi, and he is the president, and that's the final stamp on their feud. And Okada is off, to work for WWE.
That's not what I'm seeing. But yeah, I mean, this rivalry obviously so important to the history of the company, to the careers of Tanahashi and Okada, and I think just for the popularity of New Japan in America, I think that a lot of outlets really kind of latched on to that Okada Tanahashi feud. A lot of fans were hearing about it, and that part of their feud was a whole like Wrestle Kingdom where Jeff Jarrett had it on pay-per-view, and so people were watching it on pay-per-view for the first time in America and like seeing this whole big feud kind of start playing out. And so yeah, very just instrumental rivalry to the company, to Western fans, and this podcast. I mean, who knows if we would be doing this if these guys had not had this feud and really took the company to a next level. I mean, yeah, Tanahashi definitely saved the company from the dark ages, but like this feud and then the push of Okada really elevated things to that next level, that period that we saw, like 2015 to 2019, that kind of golden era, really kind of all surrounding and elevated from this feud.
Yeah, I think they're lucky that that whole Jarrett thing worked out, because some smart fans would have been like, Jarrett's tied to this? Nah, I'm not getting worked.
It's funny for me. The thing that like caught me was like AJ Styles, because he had just left TNA, and I was like, AJ was my man, one of my favorites. I'm like, all right, AJ's over here. Let's see what's going on.
But the poetic nature of this match, the fact that what's the time difference? So we're talking about 2012 to 2024. So basically a 12-year difference there from the original Rainmaker Shock in the same building, and literally almost to the day for these guys to wrap up and culminate the entirety of the feud. And, you look back at where they were on that first night with Tanahashi riding at the highest of highs for his basically for his title reigns and for his career. That's the reign where he had the most successful title defenses and where he was seen as like the fucking ace of the company, like in his prime. And then you got Okada coming in as this virtuoso that like he didn't expect, and he totally shocks him. And then everywhere that story went over the subsequent 12 years, and now here we are, and Okada is the ace, and Tanahashi is the aged veteran, but he's also now the president of the company, and Okada is on his way out as the first ever major ace of any Japanese, Perezu company to leave and go work, in America. Like it's very strange how everything sort of intersected and kind of came to this point. And I thought the match was incredible. Very, very emotional at the finish there. Those guys, embracing and all the tears and pretty much everybody, giving Okada his adulades and goes off into the sunset. And I know we got 2 more dates with him, but I don't think they're going to be able to likely match the emotion and the, dare I say, beauty of this match in this moment.
Yeah. And, really, enjoyed the matchup. I would say that I liked the Dallas match that we saw live better. I really liked that Dallas match. I know a lot of people are a little bit critical on that Dallas match, but I thought that was like a 4.5 star match for me. This match, I'm more of like maybe 4, like 3.75, probably 4. But I mean, very emotional, great video package. Obviously, just there's so much history, so much emotion behind it. But like you mentioned, obviously Tanahashi is nowhere where he was in 2019, and definitely not where he was in 2012. And obviously they laid out the match. It was like what you imagine if you close your eyes and you're like, I'm going to write out a Tanahashi Okada match. And that's what it was. And they played the hits, and the crowd was hot for it. I did think it was interesting at the beginning, like crowd chanting for Okada. And then it seemed like, all right, we're going to get like prick Tanahashi. He's got to be a heel. And then immediately they're like, Tanahashi. And he's doing, he's like, so yeah. And Okada,
yeah, we got a little bit of heel Okada at certain points in the match too, which like kind of harkened back, and he was definitely like, anytime he starts to attack like Tanahashi's neck and everything, I'm like, oh, but I thought about that Dallas match, and I was like, that those goosebumps that you get from the beginning when everyone is just going apeshit and they haven't even touched, like that is a really special moment. But this also had a lot of emotion as well. So the one thing I will say, this was a lot better than the match they had in America last year.
Yeah, then the what was that, New Beginning, or not New Beginning? That was Battle in the Valley.
Yeah. So I probably would have gone like 4.25 plus. I thought it was that good. I just really, really enjoyed the match. But I've been listening to trying to catch up this past weekend too on some shows, and like, bro, there's so many people in this like New Japan community that have voices and are content creators, and they're just fucking bitter and pissed about Okada leaving. Like, it's kind of funny in a way. Like, we should be the ones pissed. I mean, look at this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think somebody there's a question later on asking about the logo and what we're gonna do, and
we already talked about that. We're not answering more questions about that.
Yeah, I thought this was, honestly, I wish this was the last match for him, because this was a good way to cap off his career, kind of how his, post-excursion career started, facing off against Tanahashi, and ending of Tanahashi would have been, I thought, kind of the right note here. And yeah.
How do you think people are going to react when they find out that Matt Riddle's the guy he's putting over on the way out?
Yeah, people are not happy with Riddle being in one of those last matches.
Riddle's gonna beat him, bro. Bro, Derek for the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, after he beats Tanahashi for the TV title.
I don't even know what a Bro Derek is, but I just know that's a name.
That's the Tombstone. That was what he had to call it in WWE. Now he goes back to calling it the Bro Stone.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so really good matchup here. I think obviously it's kind of hard to compare this to obviously some of their more high level stuff. And this didn't have like, this wasn't like a 20, 30 minute match, and it didn't have like the tons of reversal and sequences, but still good for what it was. And then obviously post match, they embrace and hug, and they're talking to each other. Crowd's going crazy for Okada. So good emotional moment there. So then we move on to the IWGP Tag Team title match. The Bullet Club team of Chase Owens and Kenta. They defeat the GOD team of El Phantasmo and Hikuleo, 13 minutes and 11 seconds.
Well, I'll start off with the positives. Okay, there's not many, but not going to sit here and defend this match and be like, oh, this was fantastic. I don't know what everyone's talking about, but like the outrage that you're seeing online, some of it's definitely justifiably so, because this is baffling booking, in my opinion, and I think for most people's opinion. But the actual match itself wasn't that bad. Like I'm seeing people like throw like twos and shit on it, and I'm like, it really was fine. It was just a fine match. If anything, it was probably realistically better than the match that they had with each other earlier in the tour for the strong openweight tag team titles. But then again, this all calls into question, what are we doing here? Because you have the match at the Tokyo Dome. You put both tag straps on God and make them the 100th champions, and you're wondering the whole time, like, are we going to unify these belts? Like, are we going to do a consolidation? Are they going to defend them simultaneously? Like, what's happening here? And you called it last week. You said that like there is an actual real possibility that Kenta and freaking Chase Owens pick up the win here, just because they already lost the first title shot. And I heard a few other podcasts and people out there say the same thing, but I was 100% in the camp. Like, I know they could do that, but they would be so fucking stupid. Like, there's no reason to do that, especially like, like why
Yeah.
So the match was fine. It had a good finish, but ultimately, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like, was there like I'm like, this is all, kind of coming off of a COVID fog. Was there an interference at the end that like kind of...
Yeah, Taiji Ishimori was out there, and
that's right.
He hit Hikuleo with the belt, which allowed Kenta to get the pin over him.
I feel like didn't Chase Owens pull the referee out at one point as well?
Yeah, I think so.
So there was some stuff down the end where, like, bro, I'm getting sick.
Yeah, it was. They did the Hikuleo did the choke slam on Kenta, but then Kenta grabbed the ref to escape. That was the ref spot there.
Okay,
and then
gotcha.
Owens pulled the ref to the floor after they did the Thunder Kiss.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, and like he hit the Thunder Kiss, and I was like, okay, cool. And then they did the big spot where he pulled the referee out, and I'm like, I get it. It's wrestling. I know everybody does this, and I know I'm just like, talking to a wall here, but like, how is that not an automatic disqualification? Like, I don't understand. Like, there's just some spots I have a real problem with, and I never like when they pull the referee out and how it doesn't result in an automatic DQ.
Yeah, it's the most illogical, stupid thing that happens in pro wrestling across the board, any country, any promotion. It's like, yeah, you touch the official, it should be over. Like, in a real sport, like, if you put your hands on an official out, like, that's a fine. Like, the match is over. Like, you're getting disqualified. And I get it. It's pro wrestling. But still, like, especially in New Japan, it's supposed to be more sports-based presentation. So, and I get it.
I feel like if you put your hands on the ref, like, I think there's a fine line. There's the old Tommy Rich and Ric Flair pushing each other and, like, telling them to respect it and everything, blah, blah. That's one thing. But, like, when you are literally accosting the man, you're pulling his entire fucking body out of the ring.
Yeah.
How is that not a DQ? I don't get it.
Yeah, and I can live with like the whole thing, or like maybe somebody's going for a spear, the guy moved, and the ref was there, misposition,
Totally.
like stuff like that. Like
I know it's stupid, but I get what you're saying. I can also be like, that was inadvertent. It wasn't flagrant.
right, like he was going to spare his opponent or super kick his opponent, and the guy moved, and the ref just happened to be in the wrong position.
Most ref bumps, even the ones where they intend to ref the bump, but they have plausible deniability, I can totally like logically be like, well, it wasn't flagrant. It was inadvertent, or at least, there's some deniability there. But when they literally grabbed the dude by his ankles and fucking yoink him out of the ring, like, no. Like, what? How's this match not over? It doesn't make sense. Anyways, and now that brings us to the conclusion of like, why did this even happen to begin with? And where do we think the title picture and the division is going? Because we literally took a tag team that wasn't even in World Tag League. And I know you mentioned this on last week's show. You're like, there's a lot of tag teams that they could have put these belts on over the past couple of years, or, had challenging at least people that were in World Tag League, and instead we got these guys, and it seemed pretty clear cut that we were probably leading to, just like a first easy title defense, and then these guys move on. And I am wondering, like, why did they lose? Like, was this always the plan? Are they re-signed? I know that there was some talk about their contracts maybe potentially being up. Like, is there the possibility that all of God leaves? Like, what's going on?
They're announced for Windy City Riot in April.
Yeah, but Juice did that shit too, and that didn't mean nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously they could still be leaving and still work that show, and they are the strong tag team champions still.
Right, that's true. But why are they still? Why did they keep the blue belts but lose the black belts? I don't get it. And why did this team?
This whole booking makes no sense. And like, yeah, they beat these guys early in the tour, defending the strong titles, and then somehow like this match still happens. Like, I feel like in the middle of this tour, like Kenta and Chase should have at least beaten some other team to rebound and be like, all right, we're actually still contenders. We're still challenging you.
Look, and I'm not even gonna sit here and be like, and cry and be like a little bitch because my team didn't win. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't even know if I would call God my team, but like,
well, I mean, they were on Kiss, so
yeah, they were on here, so. But like, I'm okay with the bad guys winning sometimes, and if there's a reason for it, like if you can kind of see a direction that it's potentially leading to, and it feels like over the past year and a half, like this company's done a lot to really try and rehab the tag team division between like the work with Bishamon and FTR and Aussie Open and TMDK and a bunch of other tag teams, including, this new God. And now, instead of like all the times that they could have put the titles on TMDK, they put the titles on Chase Owens and Kenta. And I know it rings very similar to like what happened when Fale and Chase Owens won the belts. But like, I don't know. I just don't see the purpose. Like, they've got a whole, roster of guys that could potentially fill this role. I don't see the purpose of it. I'm kind of confused.
Yeah, literally, there are dozens of teams that they have access to that they could have ran this same storyline with and had these guys lose the belts. And yeah, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. Like, if you want them to lose, like, lose the strong titles and let them carry on with the IWGP tag titles. And I know sometimes Gail does like to have the champion lose their first defense or whatever. Fine, you want to do that, but come on, War Dogs, Suji and Shingo, like, you don't have to think that hard to find a better team to put in this spot.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I kind of blame the War Dogs here because remember last July where they won the strong titles the first time, but then lost the IWGP title defense to Bishamon or challenge. this is their fault because they set the precedent. And like Gato's like, I can't do that again. I already did that last year, so we got to flip it now.
Yeah, keep people on their toes.
Yeah, keep them on their toes. Keep them wondering why do we have 2 tag title belts? Like,
bro,
this company's got 4 sets of tag belts. They got the 6-man never opens. They got the IWGP Junior heavyweights. They got the IWGP tag titles. Those all have a distinct purpose, but the strong openweight tag team titles have no purpose. Like,
yeah, they had a purpose when Strong was a weekly TV show, and it's like, all right, that's going to be the division for that brand. But even though they still brand these America shows as Strong, like,
I don't even know if they're still doing that moving forward.
Yeah, I think they're still. I know the Battle in the Valley was still, I think, like a New Japan.
That was Strong?
Yeah.
What was the show that they just announced?
The one, the California show, Resurgence.
Yeah. Did they call that Strong Resurgence? Because I don't recall that they did, and that got me thinking.
Yeah, I'll have to rewatch the promo, but
in either case, like, bro, they don't need 4 fucking tag titles. And why have we had, like, at this point, 3 unified champions? That just goes to show you how insignificant if the titles had a distinct purpose, you wouldn't feel the need to keep putting both of them on a set of tag teams. But they've done it like 3 times to my knowledge. They did it with TMDK, they did it with Bishamon, and now they've done it with these guys. And maybe they did it to somebody else.
Didn't they do it for Aussie Open also?
I said TMDK in the beginning, didn't I?
Yeah.
I meant Aussie Open.
Yeah.
Sorry, wrong Australian tag team. Yeah, they've done it with 3 tag teams already. So that just goes to show you, like, there's a reason that this keeps happening because they don't have a purpose.
Yeah. And we had a ton of questions about this match. First from Rambo and Slam Pig. He says, I am really glad they finally started pushing the young generation. With that said, thoughts on the new IWGP Heavyweight Tag Champions, that young prospect Chase Owens and Blue Chipper Kenta? Is this a sign that ELP and or Hikuleo may not be long for the company, or just a means to an end to split the belts?
Bro, literally, your guess is as good as mine. I think that both of those speculations are as plausible as any other because I don't know why they did this.
Yeah, I'm baffled. I cannot give a good reason for why they did this. And something else I just wanted to point out, because the way that Rambo spelled this out. So I've noticed that Chris Charlton, he's been calling Phantasmo LP, and normally people say ELP, and the way Rambo spelled it out here, he put L-P. Is it just me, or is it just like a retcon and people are trying to change it to like LP instead of ELP?
Bro, you ever heard of the Mandela effect?
Yeah.
That's what this shit is right here.
I'm like, his song says ELP. Like, what am I missing here?
wait, bro. Wait till the next time you turn on that show and it's like LP. And you're like, no. I swear to God, it didn't say that.
Anyway, next question here from Def Triangle 720. How can we make the heavyweight tag titles feel important again?
I don't know.
Put them on anybody else besides Chase and Kenta?
Bro, we were, just to be like completely honest, I don't dislike the new GOD. One thing before I get to that point, another thing too is like, aren't we going to very shortly on this tour have the old GOD fight the new GOD?
Yes, I believe that is coming up on one of the nights of Sapporo.
Maybe that's why they did this, because maybe that's the tell that they're going to have the new GOD lose to the old GOD on the way out.
Yeah, so
they didn't want to have the champions lay down like that.
Yeah, night 2 of Sapporo is going to be, Tama and Tanga versus ELP and Hikuleo.
But I mean, if we're being honest, talking about people that should quote unquote do business on the way out, like the old GOD should lose to the new GOD and set them up. So it shouldn't matter one way or the other. But what I was going to say is, like, to me, I do like God. They're not my favorite tag team as of yet, but that's just because they just kind of got started and they were kind of put in a shit position. Like when you look at the booking of the World Tag League to Wrestle Kingdom, they had to face the same tag team in Bishamon 3 times in a very short period of time. And then they had to have a series of matches with Kenta and Chase Owens. Like their title reign really isn't chock full of a lot of defenses or variety of opponents. They just kind of had the same 4 guys for months on end. And they probably needed to have, and who knows, I'm assuming that they're going to continue as a team moving forward and they'll get to work with other people and kind of reestablish themselves. But, you know, they kind of got put in a bad position having just like the same matches over and over again, even on this tour.
Yeah. Very, very weird booking. And, you know, maybe, again, back to your point, maybe they are leaving and God versus God is like the finale for all 4 of them.
Like, maybe. I right now, like, if, like, let's say if in a month we turned around and got a rematch between these 2 teams and you put the titles right back on God again, the new God, I'd be like, what are we doing? I wouldn't even be happy about that because that would be like such a waste of all of our time that we'd have to see this feud continue. So my only thinking is like, unless they got a really cool tag team coming and they want to transition these belts to somebody else without having God be the fall guys. And maybe that's what's down the pipeline. Maybe they got some secret cool tag team that's not Bishamon that we don't know about. Maybe that's where we're going, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean,
the yen is down.
Yeah. Next question here from Les Commission 7252 says, so TMDK loses 3 IWGP tag team title matches, but Kenta and Chase Owens can win in their first attempt. WTF?
It's called racism. That's what that's called.
Dark Soldier says, look at the tag champs in wrestling. In WWE, we have the Judgment Day, a pretty cool stable. Sting and Darby, mentor and student like Bruce Wayne and Terry McGinnis. In TNA, we have ABC, Chris Bay and Ace Austin. Talent with a lot to offer, and their name helps learn the alphabet. In NJPW, we have Kenta and Chase Owens. Just why? I thought Phantasma and Hikuleo being interviewed by you guys would give them superpowers and a longer reign.
Well, unfortunately, because there were so many other people that also interviewed them, they all canceled each other out.
Yeah,
so that's
we gave them the rub, and then they went and did all these little, indie
mom and pop.
Little mom and pop podcast.
Some fucking mud show indie outlaw bullshit.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Ethan Black on Twitter says, so Chase Owens and Kenta are IWGP tag team champions. Why? How long do you guys think they will hang on to them for? And who do you guys see challenging them?
You know, if we want to point to anything to be like, maybe we need to change at the top. Other people want to point to like the handling of Okada and the new generation and Osprey. I'm like, nah, this is it. This is the this is the straw that breaks the camel's back. Like, can't be fucking around with these IWGP tag team titles, You put those titles on Chase Owens again, like, this take me back to COVID times. I feel like I'm going back to Jingu Stadium. Like, I'm not feeling this right now.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to say, and this is a little off subject, I give them a little bit of a pass because, like I mentioned, I have been watching the backstage promos, and oh my God, Kenta is the fucking funniest human being alive on this roster and in just existence. Like, bro, he has these weird little backstage storylines going with him and the interviewer or the cameraman, that he calls Fatty, and he gets up in his like ear and like kisses him. He's like, and he comes over and he's like, oh, and I just fucking love it. It's so funny, dude.
Oh yeah, Kenta. That is one thing. Yeah, Kenta is hilarious. He always has been with those backstage promos.
Like, I don't care that, like, and then like, there's just a lot. There's a lot going on there. Like, people talk about all this like Hiromu headcanon with him and, remember the fucking cats and all that?
Mhm.
Like, that shit doesn't have anything on Kenta and his backstage adventures. They're so much better. But the thing is, you got to tune in and watch those because they don't play into the story at all, and they don't make him a better wrestler when it comes time to ring the bell. So, that's pretty much all I got to say about that. But like, those fucking interviews are can't miss. They're incredible.
All right, I gotta check them out. So yeah, I mean, the only hope I think for a tag team, I don't know if you noticed in the VTR they did show like the Lucha Bros as like a tag team when they're talking about like tag teams across the world that want to come for the tag team titles. So,
then maybe I was right when I was like, they don't want to make their guy, like their team that they're trying to establish, the Fall Guys for a super cool tag team like the Lucha Brothers. Maybe that's the case. But bro, just imagine the shitstorm that is going to kick up when, the Lucha Brothers show up in fucking AEW or in New Japan Pro Wrestling,
and win the
tag titles, and then take them back to America. That's why we got 2 tag titles. So we can send the real ones over to AEW so that they can be defended on like Rampage. And
Lucha Bros defending against the Outrunners.
I don't even know who those are. Yeah. So that can happen, and then never worry because God 2.0 is still here with the blue belts, and we're gonna raise the prestige of those titles during New Japan Cup. So
that's another thing. Maybe they won the belt off of them because they're gonna push one of those guys in the New Japan Cup, and then maybe they're going singles.
We have covered so many. We have analyzed this from all angles. That might be correct. You might be. All of these are hypothetically possible. Another thing that's possible, Gato just might not give a fuck. Like he just might like those. He just might like like they really love Chase Owens. Kenta's like his guy. Like he's like. Fuck it. Fuck those dudes. We're going to 101st champions, you guys. Bullet Club. Let's go.
Bullet Club for life.
Isn't it weird? Those guys don't even like have a defined, like there's all these different factions of Bullet Club. And then there's like Ishimori, Kenta, and Chase Owens who just are completely unaffiliated with any other group, but they're not a subgroup. And they're kind of cool with everybody, but not really. It's weird as fuck.
They're the core. They're the core of Bullet Club.
I guess they're the OG Bullet Club, even though none of them were part of the original group.
Oh, man.
Bro, think about like, I don't know if you saw the one backstage thing where like, Taichi's like, are me and Kanemaru both in Bullet Club now? You think about their whole history with each other, and he's like, "Are we on the same team?" But like we don't, but they don't interact. Like they never see each other. It's weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. All right, let's move on to the semi-main event. We had the frontman Zack Sabre Jr. defeating the American Dragon Bryan Danielson, 32 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. This match, the first match that they had, won this show's Excursion Match of the Year award for 2023. And even though people that are in the know knew this rematch was happening, like I do want to say I hate the idea that AEW really didn't do anything to promote this match in any meaningful way whatsoever. That kind of sucks because not that many people outside of like diehard New Japan fans seem to know that this was even happening. But for those of us that had been anticipating, it was like, damn, how are they going to live up to, that first match? And can they, match it or surpass it? And in my honest opinion, and like I told many people who hadn't even seen the match yet that I thought this match surpassed it. And I didn't feel in any way unconfident that without them having seen it, that I had ruined, how sometimes you set improper expectations.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was doing that at all. Like I knew for a fact, I'm like, it doesn't matter what I say. This match is that much better than and the first one was a fucking classic. But this one, like, you've got people talking, depending on your taste in wrestling and everything, like you got people talking about match of the year contender. And I think it is up there. Just incredible professional wrestling. Like that's what you had here, like on every facet, every level. Um, one way I can always tell that without analyzing too deeply how good a match is like when I'm just sort of in it and it's a long match, but it feels short. And that's what was happening here. Like when you tell me that this match went like almost 35 minutes, it didn't feel like it. It just felt like a 15-minute sprint to me. And like, I want to watch it again.
Yeah, this match was very well paced and also kind of a slower start, feeling out process. But yeah, it did not feel 30 minutes. This was a breeze to watch, and yeah, very awesome matchup. Definitely a match of the year contender. And man, yeah, the wrestling was just so great. The exchange of holds, the striking between both guys leading into the middle part of the match, and just so many great countering their big moves. Yeah, this was just great.
One thing that I appreciate about both of these guys that really, to me, sets their style of wrestling against one another apart from some other different kinds of technical wrestling is like the struggle of it all, like very often, and we've talked about this on this show, where like Zack is such a, high level performer that very often he's able to just kind of wrap guys up and kind of eat them alive. And most of the time they don't offer that much resistance to what he's doing.
Yeah.
And here everything was like, I don't want to say thought out ahead of time, because it feels very much like they're improvising a lot in the moment. But you can kind of tell a difference between like when you watch guys roll and they're, whether it's jiu-jitsu or like amateur wrestling, there's a difference between when you're watching an instructional and the person isn't offering enough resistance and they're just demonstrating the technique, or you see like low level wrestling where like the guy just sort of lets the other person put them in the move and then they just feign or sell the pain and the struggle and try to reverse it or get out or get to the ropes. But here they were like actively working against what one another was doing. And so there's that very real struggle and a lot of callbacks to what they did previously. And then, kind of getting into unique positions that you didn't expect them to. And then, bro, the fucking violence, like,
bro, they were hitting each other so hard.
Yeah. Like they were hitting each other really hard. And, it caused quite a bit of commotion. I saw, again, I'm not that plugged in on what's going on Twitter, but I don't know the names. I saw something was going on with some Nepo. I don't know what's going on. But I don't even want to speculate because I don't know the people involved. But, there was the thing this past week where Bret Hart was talking about American style wrestling and his interpretation of it. And I felt like that sort of struck a chord with certain segments of different fan bases, and they're using that for arguments. And then the clips of this match came out. There's people, basically clenching their booty cheeks because they're just fucking, so sensitive to how much better this wrestling is than the wrestling that they watch. And they're like, that's not wrestling. And it's like, bro, this is art,
bro,
at the highest level.
Just the grappling alone, like you mentioned, like that looked like they were actually like wrestling each other and trying to get the advantage on each other. And then, yeah, the striking was great. And there were just so many great counters and near falls. I mean, this crowd, it sounded like there might have been a lot of foreigners because we got a "This is awesome" chant at like 25 minutes into the match. A lot of like American style chants.
There was yes chants.
Yeah.
They were really into this. And you know what? I don't know. Maybe there were foreigners there, but I feel like, we've seen this before in certain towns, and Osaka isn't, exempt from this, where like if they watch a particular performer and they see how if it's a Western performer and they see how Western audiences react to them in their home, like in the States, they'll kind of emulate some of that when it's in Japan, if they like revere them enough. And so there was a little bit of that kind of going on here too, which I thought was just really, really, really cool. I did not expect a "this is awesome" chant or anything.
Yeah, yes chant.
Did they say "fight forever"? I can't recall.
Yeah, there were a few. It wasn't at the whole crowd didn't get, but there were some people that were chanting "fight forever."
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. Those chants, I'm not. For me personally, I don't necessarily always love American audiences, even though I'm like one of the most belligerent ones myself when I'm in those audiences. But those chants, when they're unearned, I hate them. But when it's a match that like kind of deserves it, like this one deserved it. And
yeah, well, the problem is that a lot of like the American shows, like, they just want to do it. So like we'll go to like local indie shows and like two guys hit a double clothesline. They're like, "This is awesome!" Like, no, like this is okay. Or or that it's a crazy like crappy plunder match, and people are like, "Fight forever!" I'm like, no, wrap this up.
Nothing makes an audience that's trying to make one of those chants happen better than doing what you just did, like doing the chant, but doing it exaggeratedly and like kind of sarcastically, because then they feel stupid for saying it. Fight forever. Like you do that, and they're like, oh God. And then they just shut up. They stop.
Yeah, but all chants were well deserved for this matchup. Dude, the near fall that really got me is when Zack, he hits a release German and he follows it up with the Zack driver. I was like, because normally nobody kicks up the Zack driver. I was like, oh my gosh, like you got him.
Bro, I replayed that like 3 times because I was like, what? Like it happened so fast.
Yeah. And again, there's so many great submission holds and transitions into holds, and then they turn up with the striking, and then towards the end here they had kind of a roll-up exchange, and Zack was able to catch Bryan with the roll-up pin here.
Kind of continuing the narrative in the first, the whole thing here is they're trying to determine who truly is the greatest technical wrestler today. And in the first match, Bryan won the match, but he won by Saku knee, basically a knockout. He got a pinfall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But they keep saying knockout. Like every time they say it, I'm confused. I'm like, wait, did they do a 10 count? But no. But yeah, he beat him with a strike and then pinned him. And then in this match, Zack Sabre Jr. was able to get a crafty, very clean, but a crafty pinfall victory over Bryan. And both of these guys, submissions are a huge part of their repertoire. It's in their wheelhouse. And they both claimed in the past they're going to submit one another. And thus far, neither of them has been able to do that, even though it seems a little bit like Danielson at this stage is more accepting of the results of this match than Zack was of the first match, because Zack felt like he took the quote unquote low road. He had to resort to, throwing dangerous strikes as opposed to beating him with craftsmanship. And in this match, I feel like Danielson felt like Danielson loves a good small package. So he got wrapped up and he kind of sort of admires the way he won a little bit. But
yeah, Zack,
at this point,
Zack used techers.
What's that?
Zack used techers.
Yeah, he used technical wrestling, but neither of them have submitted one another still.
Yeah, and in the post match, Bryan said they should do it 2 out of 3 falls and kind of a neutral ground. Bryan won in America, Zack won in Japan. Fine, like a middle ground, like a neutral ground promotion, do 2 out of 3 falls.
Bro, when he said that, I'm like, where the fuck would they go? Like, they're gonna what's the African
the Uganda soft ground wrestling.
Change it up,
We're bringing in big stars. Oh my!
But really, where could they go?
CMLL. I don't know.
Yes.
Spain. White Wolf Wrestling. Do they still exist?
I don't know. They're gonna go to Madison Square Garden. Yeah.
TNA, I guess. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Oh man. But yeah, absolutely incredible matchup. I had a few questions here. Rainbow and Slam Pig says, my assumption is the ZSJ beating Danielson via a tricky kind of pin means the question of who is the greatest technical wrestler remains unresolved and a third match is likely. Where would you like to see that take place?
Honestly, I don't know. Because the first match happened in AEW, the second match happened in New Japan, and I feel like the only logical next step would be one of those two places, unless, you know, you do it in like England at like for
Wembley.
Rev Pro. Yeah, but Wembley, I guess Wembley would be like a middle ground. That's not necessarily new. Like he said, he wanted to do it in neutral territory. Maybe he didn't mean to say that. Maybe he's just talking out of his ass. But I mean, it would still be an AEW show just in London. So like Zack would have the home field advantage, but it's also
Bryan's promotion, yeah.
right. So maybe that's where they do it. But I mean, me personally, I know there's other people that don't want to hear this. I'm still holding out for the idea of Danielson and McGinnis.
Nigel.
Yeah, like that's what they need to do. But there's not really a big enough stage at this point that's neutral where they could do it. Like they're gonna sell out Arena Mexico, like you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know as far as neutral ground, but I think probably Wembley would probably be the next best place to do it. I would think. You mentioned it's Bryan's home promotion, Zack's home country. It's a big stage. It's the third match in the trilogy. I think that would be a good spot to do it if they're going to do a third this year.
I'm not a big fan of that.
Why? Because Bryan's probably got to win.
Well, maybe, but then there's the other possibility, the worst possibility.
Oh, Zack wins and he's going to AEW?
Yeah. What happened last time we had a UK guy go to Wembley? He got a fucking tattoo on his arm, you know? Don't need all that.
Yeah.
Just chill. Just let us keep one of, like, you don't gotta take them all, damn.
Gotta catch them all. Tony Khan's been playing Pokemon this whole time.
Yeah, bro. Just calm down. I'm not even one of the like, one of the like gatekeepers that's like fuck AEW, fuck Tony Khan. But I'm like, damn, bro, can you just please
leave us something?
please don't.
Like, bro,
don't take everybody.
We got Chase Owens and Kenta the Champ. Please leave us something, man.
Bro, that is something I thought about. I was like, we got these guys as champions because Tony Khan's fucking taking everybody. Like, damn.
Oh man. MJ says, how successful can ZSJ be as the top talent in NJPW? Does his style give you any pause as to how successful he can be?
No, I don't feel that way. I mean, I know we're a show that covers New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I should be able to give you definitive answers about what it takes to be a top star in Japan, but there is a disconnect between what connects for us as an audience and what connects domestically for their actual market. We've seen Zack definitely like gain in popularity over there, but if I was just kind of guessing, I would say at this stage he still probably hasn't gotten to the level of popularity that say like a Will Ospreay got within the company, at his top. Then again, I don't see a reason why he couldn't get a top run similar to like one that Shingo had, even if it's just as a trial to see where things go. As of this current time, I don't see any other Gaijin talent that is going to threaten his top spot, and he seems like the perfect guy to utilize there. When it comes to the wrestling style, I have no problems with that. I think that he's tailor-made for Japan, and I feel like he would be perfect in that aspect. My concern is like, can he connect with the Japanese audience on that level? On the like Kenny Omega, Jay White, Will Ospreay level, to where they see him as like the top guy. And I'm optimistic that they can, but I don't know what that takes.
Yeah, I mean, he's already, very fluent in Japanese. He's, he can speak Japanese. He cuts promos in Japanese. He has incredible matches, and yeah, I think with guys like Will Ospreay leaving, I think the crowds will look for somebody else to connect to, and yeah, I think they're already connected to him. I think honestly, he just needs to be pushed, and I think the reactions will come. He got great reactions in this match. They were singing the Zack Sabre Jr. Chant here for him, and I think you just put him in more big positions, let him have great matches like he can, and push him and get him over. I think that he can get to that top level. I think he can definitely be IWGP champion.
Yeah, I agree.
Next question here. He says ZSJ Danielson 3 in a neutral location. Will it be in Wembley Arena, Mexico, or maybe the Sastai Arena in Saskatoon? Speculate wildly.
I feel like we've already covered that, but appreciate the question.
Then Dark Soldier says, could we see ultimate submission rules with Bryan and Zack?
It seems like we're doing 2 out of 3 falls. I mean, ultimate submission would be 2 out of 3 fall submission match.
No, I think ultimate submission is an Iron Man, but you can only win with submission.
Okay, gotcha. I couldn't recall. I remember, I think like Benoit and Angle did one of those, and I don't remember it that well.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's Iron Man rule, except you can only win. You can only get points via submission.
One thing I did want to mention, all throughout this tour, in the backstage comments and even some on screen, Zack Sabre Jr. has been making it very much so known that he intended to face off with Okada in one of his final matches. And when he finally got this win here, I was like, oh shit, like they're going to do something between him and Okada on the way out. Like, and everybody that's been talking out of their ass about him not putting people over, I'm like, this is it. Like he's
going to put Zack over.
Yeah, he's going to put Zack over. Like, how did I not see this? I'm so fucking blind. Like, this is incredible. And now it's not happening. I was like, he's gonna beat Danielson, and then he's gonna turn around and beat Okada. And like, fuck, Naito's fucked if that happens. Like,
yeah.
But I guess it's not happening. I don't know. I feel like, we need a new booker, bro. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I got some great ideas.
I feel like I've got some great ideas. Like put the belt on Zack and have him beat everybody.
Yeah, get this man the Hardcore Holly push.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the main event, the Steel Cage 10-man tag team matchup. The Bullet Club War Dogs of Alex Coughlin and Clark Connors, Dave Finlay, Drilla Maloney, and Gabe Kidd defeated the United Empire team of Francisco Akira, Hanare, Jeff Cobb, TJP, and Will Ospreay. 64 minutes and 5 seconds.
Yeah, I saw a tweet from Samson. He was saying that this was one of the longest, like top 5, top 6, like longest.
Yeah, I think 5th longest. I think he said.
Yeah, but here's the only thing, and I don't want to credit this to him because I didn't look intently, but I was on a New Japan page and I saw that they listed the Island Death match between Tiger Jeet Singh and Hiroshi Hase as the longest match. And I don't know if that's what Samsa's thing said or not, but I seem to remember the Inoki and Masa Saito Island Death match being much longer than the second one. But again, I'm not claiming that Chris said any of that. I didn't see that on his. I didn't dig deep enough or read it. It was in the timeline and I just scrolled past it. But yeah, I saw somewhere where somebody put that up and I'm like, I don't think that's right. So I'd be interested. I'll go look at his page and see what he said. I don't know. But yeah, at over an hour, I mean, only so many New Japan matches have ever even gone over an hour. So yeah.
But yeah, I thought this match was incredible. They did a great job building the heat and this rivalry, and it all crescendoed perfectly here. Opening of the match, it started off with Will Ospreay and Finlay, in which the original rules, they were doing War Games style rules where every 2 minutes somebody will come out, but Ospreay was like, no, I want more time with you to start this off, and so they had negotiated a 5-minute opening round period.
Well, he said 10.
Right, he said 10, but Finlay said 5.
Yeah, and on that, bro, when he said 10, I was like, I don't need 10 minutes. It's too long. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. But yeah, so Finlay negotiated, said we'll do 5. So started with 5. And then out next came Drilla Maloney for the War Dogs. He came out with his string of forks and looking like he came straight out of a Rambo movie. Then you had Hanare coming out. Then Clark Connors came out next from the War Dogs, and then TJP came out from the Empire. Then you had Alex Coughlin making his entrance, carrying dozens of chairs on his arms. Then you had Francisco Akira coming in with the big dive off of the cage. Gabe Kidd coming in after that, and then Jeff Cobb for the last guy for the United Empire. And man, this match was bloody. It was brutal. It was violent. These guys did a lot of crazy spots in this matchup.
I saw online, I wasn't spoiled as to the result, but I saw a picture of the cage, but I saw it from an upward angle. And so I just saw that they had the black wire, and I was like, oh my God, these cheap motherfuckers brought out the Konami death cage from the early to mid 2000s and just recycled that shit. And turns out maybe they did. They might have. I don't know. But the cage setup that they used was not quite the same setup that we saw for, like, say, the Tanahashi Murakami match, or the match with Chono and who do you wrestle again? Takayama. And if you notice, one thing that was cool, they actually put both of those cage matches up on New Japan World just the other day. So they're available to watch now. I know a lot of people wanted to see them just out of, like, curiosity. I would love for them to put up the matches from what was the side promotion they used to do in Cork and Hall? Lockup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish they'd put the lockup cage matches because I've never seen those. But anyways, I digress. So the cage that they put up was not on the ring. It was on the outside, basically sort of protecting the audience from all the carnage that was going on. And the cage itself, like, only went up probably like 8 feet. And some people didn't like that. But, like, me being like a CZW, like, old head, I love this. It was like the cage of death, bro. Mm-hmm. This reminded me a lot of specifically the 2006 cage of death, the one between CZW versus ROH. And this was, at first when I saw that, because the other thing I was spoiled about was that the match was over an hour, which I wish I hadn't seen that, but I knew it going into it. And I was like, fucking an hour-long War Games match? Like, this goes against everything I know about the way War Games should be worked. Then I started watching the match, and I was like, oh, there's nothing to worry about. This isn't War Games. This is Cage of Death. And Cage of Death is a long-ass match. This is, I understand that they share some DNA, but this is a totally entire different gimmick entirely. So I had no problem with the way it all basically unfolded. And it was just fucking insane. Like, there's no way we can run down every single spot. I highly recommend you watch this match. For me personally, right now, this is my match of the year. It might get overtaken, but as of now, my match of the year, I think it's probably amongst, or maybe is, the most violent. And when I say violent, I kind of put this in a different category. Like, I wouldn't put this in the strong style fight of the year category necessarily. Not in that sort of violence. Not like in the Ilya versus Walter type of, hard hitting matches. But when we're talking about blood and guts, in New Japan, I can't recall. They've had death matches, they've had gimmick matches, and I can't recall very many that have this much. In fact, the one thing I loved when they started the match, they had the canvas with all of the logos and the line mark.
They removed it, yeah.
And they removed it because they knew that it was going to get so bloody. They didn't want to sully the names of all of their fucking sponsors,
right,
and have all that blood on. So they just removed it and put a straight blue canvas. And I was like, oh, that's incredible. Like, that just sets the expectation. Like, we're about to see something really, really violent.
Yeah, and Charlton was saying, yeah, this is not strong style. This is we don't want this on the line marks. Like, that's why we removed it. And yeah, man, this was just so crazy. And some of the key moments, also I mentioned, Akira jumping off the cage for his entrance. At some point in the match, Hanare got like some huge gash on the back of his head.
I think it was on the top.
Yeah, top of his head. Because obviously they bandaged it all around his head.
Yeah, bro, he looked like he had the mumps, like in the old television shows. Like, it was wrapped all around his head. Like, and I asked a lot of people, like, did you see what happened? And I might want to go back and rewatch. Actually, I'd probably want to go back and rewatch the top end of this card in general. But I want to see where hypothetically the accident happened, because I didn't notice that he was hurt or out of the match. And then he just rolls back up and his whole fucking head is bandaged like he's Kenny Omega at the press conference for WrestleMania 12.
Yeah. So he's all bandaged. I don't know how that happened, but clearly a very nasty cut. He still comes back in. There's a nice little sequence with Gabe Kidd. There's a spot with Akira with the whole build this match. He was kind of spooked by the War Dogs after they jabbed him with the fork, and he wanted no part of this. And like I mentioned, Drilla had that whole belt of forks, and eventually it came down to the part where he got the fork and he jabbed it in Akira, and Akira immediately just gushed open blood, and he looks at it and he just goes crazy. Then he gets a fork and he's jabbing Drilla with it. He's jabbing Clark with it, and kind of finally got over his fear of them. That was a cool moment there.
I do have a complaint, not about the match, but about production. So when we first got the new quote unquote NJPW world, they said that we were going to get new HD streams and that it was going to get better. And you know what? At first, the very first stream I ever did, I swear to God, it did come through clearer than it had before. But now,
bro, it's the same.
It's the same. And in a match like this, even though the cage wasn't obstructing the view too much most of the time because of the nature of the cage being on the floor and not being super tall, just the fact that they had so many weapons and so many guys and so many things happening, and even the cage, my bit frame rate, I'm not tech savvy, so I don't know what you call it, but the shit was lagging and was very cloudy, and I'm like, this is awful. This is probably maybe an ingenious way to get me to tune in to Access TV to actually see the real version of this. But fuck, this sucks. I had a really tough time actually seeing what was happening some of the time with that. But they built this matchup in such a great way. Obviously, this is his final match, and he wasn't really on the tour too much. And so a lot of the spotlight was kind of off him and was sort of needed to be carried by his teammates. And Jeff Cobb had the injury, he got, attacked in the lead up to this, and he was going in hurt. You kind of ran down the ongoings between Catch 2-2 and Bull Club War Dogs, the junior team, especially Francesco Akira. There's sort of been a little bit of tension under the surface as to the stability of the United Empire leading into this match, with some of the comments that Okan has made behind the scenes, and then kind of this sort of power grab that TJP has been kind of angling for, talking about taking on new challenges and manning the ship and taking over the helm and blah, blah, blah. And so there's a little bit of all that sort of playing in here, and then the incredible match with Hinare and Gabe Kidd, and everyone talking about the stuff with Gabe Kidd and
Hinare.
No, Finley.
Oh
That
yeah,
was kinda going on
their
behind the
issue.
scenes.
Yeah.
And bro, like this version of Bullet Club is got to be the most. It might not be the most popular, it might not be the most marketable, but it's the most violent. And like I'll be the first to admit, I'm not the biggest Finley fan in the world, although I think they've done a good job with him post Wrestle. I didn't love the build to his match at Wrestle Kingdom, but post Wrestle Kingdom, they've kind of leaned back into the early iteration of him as the leader of the Bull Club that we were sort of praising at the time.
Yeah.
But these war dogs that are under him, they're fucking incredible. They all look like Greek gods, and they're all badasses, and they're all wild as fuck, and they don't care. They don't give a fuck about their bodies. And bro, they're trying to get over so bad, and they're just putting it all on the line. And like, for anybody that had shit to say about Okada and the way he walked out of this company and the way he's leaving in the business that he didn't do, quote unquote, you need to be just as loud about the business that Ospreay has done on the way out and the people that he has put spotlight on and the people that he has helped to get over, and like this entire United Empire vehicle, this entire feud, and him doing a clean ass job to David Finlay twice in the span of a month. Like that's crazy. Plus, he put over Okada, but yeah,
definitely this whole feud helped elevate the War Dogs, it helped elevate United Empire. Even Callum Newman, there was a spot there where he came out, they did the double Os cutter, and Ospreay's really been putting him over. So yeah, there was so much great stuff that Ospreay did here to get people over. And yeah, again, with some of the other key moments, you had a spot where like Coughlin's eating the kendo stick shots, and he's like standing there and eating the kendo sticks.
He looks like such a badass, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and there's just so much. And then like they set the ladder up, and then you forgot about it, the old Kenny Omega trick, and then they went through it later. And we can address it. This match, for a lot of people, the one thing I've heard a lot of people say is like, the first 45 minutes are enthralling, and then like the last 15 are like they pass the peak, and there might be something to that. But for me personally, the ghoul in me, I love when they tear a fucking ring apart. And like maybe for some people that is one of those things where it's like the action has there's a stall in the action, there's a gap, and from there it doesn't flow, like there's not the same momentum. But bro, I don't know why, but I love when they fucking tear a ring apart. And let me tell you something, as somebody who's put a ring together before, I've always been told by people that wrestled in New Japan that they have the most beautiful rings. They were not lying. To see what the ring actually looks like, dude, they got two different levels of foam under there that look pristine. Like they look so good. and then the boards, they don't have the full length boards going across the 20 by 20. They've got 10 and 10. So like I can only imagine that ring's probably incredible to bump in because there's so much motion for everything to dissipate in. Like, yeah, that and even just everything about that ring is incredible. But when they tore the ring apart, the War Dogs did, which to me, I also enjoyed because it spoke to what started this feud back at New Year's Dash, where they were tearing the arena apart and they needed to be contained, and that was the whole purpose of the cage. That kind of was what was happening here. Like these guys tore the fucking ring apart, and like it started to get dangerous to where like the boards were like breaking and falling in, and people like were legitimately trying to like bump and do shit, and like the ring was like not safe. And for me, I just love that chaos and that energy and that kind of danger and unpredictability, to where to me that elevated the crescendo of the match. And I'm like, fuck it, you already went 45 minutes. You guys might as well just do the damn thing. Let's send this thing over the top, tear that bitch up, and then for the whole match to kind of in the lead up to it, you always sort of felt like Francesco Akira was going to come down to him because he was sort of the weak link. And for Ospreay for those to be the last two kind of remaining guys, and he
protected him,
sacrificed himself to save Francesco Akira so he could fight another day, and then he ends up being the only guy to take and they fucked Will Ospreay
Hit him
up,
with everything.
Oh, and how cool was the shit he did with the ladder, bro?
Oh, you're talking about the
earlier in the match,
the double the Pele kick kind of thing he did?
Yeah, I seen him do that exact same spot against Aussie Open in a TLC match from Progress a couple years ago, and like it's still just incredible.
Yeah, that was great. Like the way that Will Ospreay can be Will Ospreay in a match like this was incredible. There's a spot where he went through the ladder with Gabe Kidd. That was a nasty looking bump. I mean, just there's so many crazy stuff here. But for me, I was one of those guys that said it. I think it went a little bit past the peak. Like for me, I'm still thinking this is a match of the year contender. I'm 4.75 on it. But for me, I did feel like this part where they were ripping their ring up. Like normally I don't have a problem with that, but I just felt like that was so long. And then the whole scenario of them like literally kind of fumbling through these boards, like guys were, like you mentioned, like they're legitimately trying to do the next spot and they are falling through the ring.
Oh, I love that.
Because the board, I'm like, dude, this is...
I loved it. Because there were so many times in the match already where my mouth was just agape because I knew that this was going to be wild and crazy. I knew it was going to be violent, but it really exceeded my expectations in so many ways about that. I just never I knew that they were going to do something that was mind-blowing, but this was kind of beyond what I expect, especially in a New Japan ring. Like this was just way past what I expected.
Yeah. But besides that, I think it was still incredible matchup, super violent, super bloody, and towards the end here, how it concluded, they, like you mentioned, they hit the double the spike power driver on Akira, and that's when Ospreay came in and protected him and rolled him out the ring. And then they also rounded Ospreay. They Finlay got on his knees, was like, you know, I'll give you one shot. Go ahead and do your best. And then Ospreay tried to do the hidden blade, but he couldn't get it done. And then from
I didn't love that personally. But you know, here's the thing. I will say this: I don't even really love the melodrama stuff that much. But sometimes when it's done well, it really lands. And like I felt like this whole group, they stuck the landing. And like I'm not going to sit here and make bold proclamations and be like, you know, Finlay, they got something with this Finlay. It's going to work out. We were right all along. No, I don't know if I believe that, but like, damn if Ospreay's not trying to make that shit work. Like,
yeah, he was trying to get this man over. So yeah, he goes
so hard to get him over.
So yeah, he couldn't hit the hidden blade, and then Drilla and Connors hit their high-low on him, and then Finlay does his the into oblivion, and then he does his new finisher, that like cross knee strike thing, and
I think it's called the cross strike.
Yeah, cross strike, and gets the pin. 1, 2, 3, clean the sheet. Finlay over, pinning Will Ospreay again, second time like you mentioned in a month, and yeah, the War Dogs stand tall here, run wild, and like we said, like there's still like so many other spots and moments and stuff that we can't recap it all here. Definitely go out of your way, watch this match. You know, we retweeted some of the clips from the match. They posted on New Japan World's Twitter account, and it's absolutely bloody, violent, great stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to top this match.
Yeah, and now, you know, we're kind of left. And one thing too, even though the War Dogs won, they kind of just got up in the camera's face, you know, proclaimed themselves the winner, yada, yada, and then went to the back. And that sort of left the United Empire out there, even though they were the losers, to kind of do the big goodbye, for Will to do the emotional, you know, post-match promo and basically tell everybody, like, I will come back to New Japan one day, I promise you, and everything like that. That was a great moment. But now, at the end of it all, we're sitting here wondering, like, well, what the fuck is next? Like, what's happening? Is United Empire staying together? Are they separating? Like, where is this going? Are they getting a new leader? Are we going to see it split into, you know, like the AEW version, like the Bullet Club is, or whatever the fuck?
UE Gold.
And then what's up, you know, for Bullet Club? I mean, you know, this is just my opinion. I feel like this is the first truly significant thing that's happened for the Bullet Club in a positive way in year. Like probably the last time I felt positive about the Bullet Club was like that time when Juice and Jay White came back at Dominion and they like started fucking everybody up. Remember that?
The swerve, the Juice swerve.
The swerve, yeah. That was a night where it was like, oh, the Bullet Club's in full effect again. And that was, a year and a half ago. It's been a while, but this was like, I know that like Finley won the title, and I know like the different groups have had title wins, but nothing has ever really felt like solidifying for these guys. And to me, this was like, holy shit, they're a force to be reckoned with. They got stars on their hands for real.
Yeah. These guys are incredible, and you definitely need to work to keep all these guys because, they went out here, they killed themselves for this company in this match, and I think they're worthy of a push, and I think Bullet Club, they need to strap the rocket to these guys, and Connors and Coughlin and Kidd, like why aren't they the IWGP Tag Team Champions?
Yeah. Remember, not that I want to say anything positive about him, because let's be very clear, the man's a fucking rapist. But do you remember in Wrestling with Shadows, or maybe it's not Wrestling with Shadows, it might be, I was gonna say Beyond the Map, but it might not even be that. But like, do you remember when I don't remember if it was when Foley came off the top of the cell or if it was the I Quit match. But basically, he's backstage with Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon's like, "Thank you for what you've done for this company."
Yeah,
but I don't ever want to see you do anything like that ever again. Like somebody from management, from Bushi Road or the office or whatever the fuck, needs to like grab Hinari and be like, "Thank you for what you've done for this company." But I don't ever want to see you do that again, because apparently, like I was reading some of the stuff Will said. Will's like, "Bro, I was really like legit scared for this guy's life. Like I thought, like you could see like the inside of his head, like." And he's like, I thought he lost so much blood. I thought it was over. And then for him to come out there and thug it out and like have the huge spots that he had and it's amazing.
Yeah, dude. It was so crazy because he was down for a long time. The doctors in there working with him on the floor.
Bro, I didn't notice any of that.
Yeah, I saw when the doctors came in, but I didn't see like what like I have to rewatch it because I was like, stuff was just happening, and I was like, oh, he's just selling, and then the doctors come in the cage, and they're working on him. I'm like, damn, like he must be really messed up if like they have a doctor in there and they're trying to like wrap him up. But this match was just
this is the best cage match I've seen since Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers.
Yeah,
easily. Got a lot of questions about it. We should probably run through those quick.
Yeah, so Rambone says, Drilla Maloney's Bandoiler Forks may be one of the best things I saw all night. Thoughts on how far Drilla has come from his first appearances in NJPW until now? I am really impressed with his glow up.
Yeah, he's incredible, man. Like that, this man's working with a no bicep.
Yeah,
pulling a Tanahashi.
Yeah, torn bicep. But yeah, dude, just the way that he's come from, the first time I ever seen him was in WWE NXT and NXT UK. From where he's come from there to now, incredible progress. And yeah, in Rev Pro, his Rev Pro run's been great. But yeah, I think he's really come to the next level being in New Japan, this whole run with the War Dogs. Like, yeah, he's the man. Navef in the Discord says, my question for this week is, can we have more fork bandoilers in wrestling? Also, what is your favorite weapon in wrestling?
Oh shit. What is my favorite weapon in wrestling? I mean, it's gotta be the barbed wire bat wrapped in the bat wrapped in barbed wire.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. I'm kind of a sucker for kendo sticks just because they're loud. They make that loud noise. They leave the marks. Is like you're gonna feel it.
You should watch some street fights from WWE. They got plenty of those.
Diego says, who should beat Finley? His pick would be Suji.
I'm fine with that. I don't really care who beats him. I love that white belt though. God, That belt is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's great. Stale Burger Bun says, now we've seen him in action a few times. Where does the ass wang rank on the power level chart of wrestling monsters?
Low.
Yeah, there was a spot here where TJP goes under the ring, comes back out as the Oswong.
I did not want him to come out as the Oswong, and I'm like, why? This. All right, cool. And I feel, and because it's so tied in with like Filipino folklore, I feel racist for not liking it. Or, I feel like me saying asswing is like almost maybe potentially like, problematic, but I fucking hate it. I hate the Oswong. I hate it.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
It's not great. Dark Soldier, did we just see NJPW's own war games of not complaining the match is an immediate match of the year contender, if not number one? Just interesting that we got it with some moderate build, given how WWE and AEW's hype up their war games.
No, because this is not war games.
Yeah, and even with so, like, I thought the build for this was great, incredible.
Let me break it down for you guys. Very simple. War games. Very simple match. 2 rings, 1 steel cage with a roof that covers both rings. The bad guys always have the advantage in a proper war games match. Everybody in the match has to be super fucking over for the match to work. And then what you do is you have the good guy come in, bomb, bomb, bomb. He beats up the bad guy. He's winning. Oh no, a new bad guy comes in. He gets the advantage. Now they're beating him up. Now there's blood. And guess what? Boom. An incredible babyface comes in, starts lighting everybody up. They feed, they bump. He gets a pop. And the same thing happens 4 more times. The whole match is just bad guys coming in, getting advantages, and then good guys coming in and wrecking house and getting huge pops. And then by the time everybody's in the match, this is not where the match starts and everything that happened before it is irrelevant. This is the crescendo of the match where all the work that was done was so violent and so painful that the people that have been in there since the first 2 rounds are so fucking beat up that they probably are not going to last another like 3 or 4 minutes. And the match ends suddenly with a decisive victory. And that's it. The match does not go another 30, 40 minutes after that period. That's War Games. War Games is a match about star power, pops, bumping and feeding, bleeding, and a quick, decisive victory. It should never go like past 20 minutes, 20, 25 minutes. Every single AEW and WWE and NXT War Games match goes like 40-something minutes. And I don't know why they always bring in a ton of weapons, because the ring is a double steel cage match. It's already filled with a fucking weapon. It's called the cage. You use the cage. They literally don't get the psychology of the match. But the main thing is, in order for that match to work, everybody has to be stars. Mm-hmm. If they're not stars and they're not over and they won't get the pop from their entrance into the ring, then it won't work. Basically, the same psychology that makes the Royal Rumble popular because of the entrances and everyone like popping for that, that's what makes War Games work. One thing that was different about this match, aside from just like the only thing that really makes it similar to War Games, is the fact that yes, there's a cage, yes, there's teams, and yes, they have staggered entries, but like the fact that their entrances were coming from the back and you didn't know who was coming in and they all came in with their music, that was something that really kind of differentiated it from like War Games, where you have like the teams waiting there, like trying to get in and game planning, and like they weren't doing all that. This match was basically, I know it sounds like it's almost the same, and in some ways it is, but it's a lot closer to Cage of Death or what you used to see in TNA with Lethal Lockdown. It's a lot closer to Lockdown and a lot closer to Cage of Death than it is to an actual War Games match.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, we were messaging and we're talking about before you had watched it, and you heard it was like an hour long, and you're like, I can't watch an hour long War Game. And I'm like, man, you just got to realize that no modern day promotion is gonna do war games the way you want them to do war games. I was like, not WWE, NXT, MLW, AW. There's not gonna
But
get.
there's no reason they shouldn't. It'd be like doing the Royal Rumble, but not in the way that Pat Patterson laid it out. That was so successful.
Well, that they're not doing it that way.
I know they're not, and nobody that has tried to do war games has gotten it right. Nobody. Yeah, the AEW matches are some of them have been good, but they don't get it. Honestly, whoever is agenting those matches just doesn't get the logic of what war games is.
Yeah. Let's see. Next question here from the French Ted. It's a simple one. What's next for United Empire?
I think they're probably going to be led by, a sex pest is what it sounds like. It sounds like, I don't know. We got these, we'll talk about it in the news, but we got matches where, Matt Riddle is linked up with them and I have no clue.
Yeah. And last question here about this match from Bung Holio the Mighty. If you had to choose, which is better and is match of the year contender, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson 2 or the Bullet Club War Dogs versus United Empire cage match?
That's bro, I don't know. That's what makes this such a great show. I don't know.
It's a toss up. Yeah. I rated both matches the same. Coward rating 4.75. Definitely.
I'm personally picking the War Games match, but I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't argue with anybody that picked the.
They're great in their own ways. It's hard to compare an hour-long blood feud, plunder match, cage match to a straight up one-on-one technical mastery, hard-hitting match. They're two completely different styles of matchups, and in my opinion, both great in different ways. So we're talking about Okada and kind of what's next for him, and Fightful Select reported on Sunday that Okada is expected to sign with AEW following his departure from NJPW. According to the report, the deal between Okada and AEW was effectively agreed to in the last couple of weeks, but Fightful has not confirmed that the contract has been signed. So that news came out, and then the news of what Okada's last two matches were going to be, and we had a question from our friends over at the Super J Cast. How are you feeling about those last two Okada matches?
So I'll do the rundown here. February 23rd, we have night one of New Beginning in Sapporo from the Hokkaido Prefectural Sports Center. And the fourth match of the night, we have the Chaos team of Goto, Okada, Ishii, Yo, and Yoshihashi taking on the United Empire team of Callum Newman, Francesco Akira, Great-O-Khan, Hanare, and Jeff Cobb. And then the following night on the 24th, from the same building, the third match of the night, we have Goto, Okada, Ishii, Yoshihashi, along with Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on the United Empire's Akira, Great-O-Khan, Hanare, and Jeff Cobb, as well as Matt Riddle. Those are the final two matches of this run of Kazuchika Okada in New Japan. Not any sort of gauntlet, not any sort of title challenge, not any sort of nostalgic, meaningful singles or tag match, not even the interfactional send-off match where, multi-man tag team, nothing like that. It's like he's just there as a bit player for, I guess, what I can assume is a building feud between Chaos and the United Empire. But, we're kind of at a point where we don't know what the future of either of these two teams are right now.
Mm-hmm.
They both might be on the chopping block with them both losing their leaders and not having a strong leader waiting in the wings to sort of be that guy. So I don't know. But if anybody was in doubt about the reports of the issues with management and Okada and the way that things went down in his exit from the company, I mean, look no further. They got this man, basically third and fourth from the top on two Sapporo shows. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, why even bother making the deal? Because he had to sign these matches as a freelancer. Why even bother? Like, the Tanahashi match would have been the perfect way to send him off and be his last match. What was the point of making him do these last two matches if you're just going to stick him in a, multi-man opening card matchup?
Well, it's like, maybe it's like WWE-ism, like you advertise them for the show, but then they don't tell you what match you're going to get. And then when you find out the match, like, fuck, like, I don't.
Got your money, kid.
Yeah, we got your money, kid. We already sold you the ticket. But yeah, it's weird. And I mean, there's a part of me that's like, lately there's this part of me with New Japan and their booking where I'm like, you just never know. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they do something that's really different, groundbreaking, like an incredible angle. But more often than not, I'm always left disappointed because they don't do the bold, exciting, fresh thing that you might expect them to potentially do when an opportunity like this is given to them. So, on the one hand, I'm like, it could be interesting. Something interesting could be coming out of this, but you know what? It'll probably end up just being
Okada hitting the Rainmaker on Callum Newman.
If that, it might just be like a Road to tag match where he's like there, he's hitting Rainmakers, but then he's on the outside while whoever it is doing the finish, and he's just a non-factor into the finish. And the story, he's just there. Like, the story's not really about him. He's just the guy in the match. And it's like you said, why are we doing this? And kind of just tells me, like, I think it's a bit of like a cash grab. Like, he was advertised for the shows. He wants to honor his commitment. So he's going to make the date. But at the same time, they don't want to put him over again, and they don't want to have, and he's not willing to lose, and they don't have anything. They don't want to give him the grand send off. So that's just what we're left with, which is dramatically unsatisfying, no matter what camp you're in when it comes to the whole Okada, Exodus thing. But for the remainder of the show, going back to the 23rd, we have a Frontier Zone kickoff tag team match with Tomoya and Yano taking on Shoma Kato and Hanma. Second match of the night, singles match between Yuji Nagata and Zack Sabre Jr. Third match of the night, Oleg Boltin, Taguchi, and Hanma taking on the House of Tortures, Narita, Kanemaru, and Yujiro. We already ran through the fourth match of the night. The fifth match is the LIJ team of Bushi, Hiromu, Shingo, Naito, and Tsuji taking on all five members of Just Five Guys, which I feel like we're getting a little long in the tooth for the 5-on-5 of this series. And then the sixth match of the night, we have Mayu Iwatani versus Mina Shirakawa for the IWGP Women's title. Seventh match of the night, Desperado versus Sho for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Eighth match of the night, Evil versus Umino for the Never Openweight. The semi-main event, Tanahashi versus Matt Riddle for the World Television title. And then the main event is David Finlay versus Nick Nemeth for the IWGP Global Heavyweight title. And then on the following night, we have a kickoff Frontier Zone tag match with Tomoya Yano versus Murashima and Hanma. Second match of the night, Despy, Bolton, Umino, and Makabe, as well as Yo, taking on the House of Torture team of Dick Togo, Evil, Narita, Sho, and Yujiro. We already went through the third match of the night. The fourth match is GOD versus GOD. So that's Tamatonga and Tangaloa versus El Fantasma and Hikuleo. The fifth match of the night, Nick Nemeth and Taguchi taking on the Bullet Club War Dogs team of Finlay and Geto. Sixth match of the night, Taka Michinoku versus Bushi. Seventh match, Hiromu versus Doki. The eighth match, Taichi versus Shingo. Semi-main event, Tsuji versus Yumura in a hair versus hair match. And then the main event is Naito versus Sanada for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. In my opinion, I think night one is much more stacked than night two, but there's some good stuff on both cards. Less Commission 7252 says, how big are you guys on Fantastica Mania? That's a Fantastica Mania question. So before we move on, any quick thoughts about these two shows?
I think both cards look really good. I think the LIJ versus Just Five Guys series will be pretty good. That last half of the card there, they've also there's issues there, but I think each, apart from the 10-man tags, I think it'll come out a lot better. And I think Tsuji and Yumura have a chance to steal a show, as well as like Taichi and Shingo. So that should be all fun. And then looking forward to see what Nick Nemeth is going to do in an NJPW ring. And how it's gonna go with Finlay. Is he gonna beat Finlay in the first match, or is Finlay gonna beat him? So I think there's some intrigue there. So yeah, it should be a fun card.
Well, we had that question that I referenced from looking through from Les Commission. He says, "How big are you guys on Fantastica Mania when it comes around yearly in Japan? This is my second full year watching the full tour after it was canceled in 2020 to 2022 due to the pandemic."
Well, Les Commission, we have been reviewing every Fantastica Mania since we've started this podcast. So that would have been the 2018 Fantastica Mania would have been our first one, and we've watched some ever since. So yeah, we're big on it. We treat it like it's a part of the tours. We watch them, review them, break them down, and they're usually very highly entertaining. So yeah, we're all about Fantastica Mania.
I do have some issues with this year's tour, though. Number one, I don't love the idea of Fantastica Mania happening in the middle of all the storylines that are taking place with New Beginning.
I agree.
It's a weird way to kind of break things up, and it's like there's compelling stories happening right now that are going to be put on hold for like 2 weeks before they like pick back up again, which is strange.
Yeah, because normally they do like New Beginnings over, then you do Fantastica Mania, then you transition into New Japan Cup.
Used to be that you got this in January/February before New Beginning, after
Wrestle Kingdom, yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Wrestle Kingdom sometimes. So I don't know. The other thing too is like honestly, this lineup that they've brought over, not just from the New Japan side, but from the CMLL side, it's not the strongest offering of stars and matches that they've ever had in the past. Which like right now, CMLL is kind of going through this like resurgence period and like a renaissance era. And I don't know, this just like when I'm looking at what we have the last few nights, there are some great singles matches, but by and large, this is probably the least excited I've been for a Fantastica Mania since we've ever done the show. It's a thinner tour than they usually have.
Yeah, it does seem like some of the familiar faces are missing from the tour. Also, some of the top stars are still there, but yeah, I feel like they normally bring more people over, and it's usually, I don't know, there's usually more hype around it.
So we had the first night take place from Edion Arena in Osaka. This was earlier today, or actually yesterday, the 12th. I'll just kind of run through the results. It was a short show. There were 6 matches, and then I guess we can just kind of give our overall thoughts on the show as a whole. Mm-hmm. So Defunto teamed up with Doki. They defeated the Bull Club team of Bone Soldier Jr., which, spoiler alert, is just Taiji Ishimori, teaming with Gedo. After that, there was a lightning match between Magnus taking on Tiger Mask. They wrestled to a 10-minute time limit draw. Third match of the night, the LIG team of Bushi, Naito, and Teton teaming up with Kamaitachi, who is just Hiromu.
No. That is the new Kamaitachi. Hiromu is the manager. Mr. Takahashi, he's the manager.
Until I see them in the same room at the same time, that's Hiromu. They defeated the team of Brillante Jr., El Desperado, Taguchi, and Stigma. Fourth match of the night, Okamura, Strong Machine J from Dragon Gate, and Yo. They defeated Dark Panther, Pegaso, and Tomoaki Hanma. Semi-main event, Hechicero, Rocky Romero, and Soberano Jr. defeated Atlantis Jr., Templario, and Volador Jr. And then in your main event, the team of Tanahashi, Mascara Dorada, and Mystico defeated Francesco Akira, Stuka Jr., and Ultimo Guerrero, 14 minutes and 53 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, overall, kind of a fine night. I mean, it's kind of hard to follow up, New Beginning in Osaka with, like you mentioned, it's kind of jarring. We just got done with this whole blood feud, and now we're switching over to Fantastica Mania. It's kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, fine show. The main event was cool. You have, the ace of New Japan, the ace of CMLL, and Mystico, and the guy that they're trying to push as the future ace in Mascara Dorada 2.0. So that was a fun kind of ace team there going up against Akira, Stuka, and Ultimo.
Yeah, I thought that was the only match of the night where I was like, if you're looking for the one recommended, like, what should I watch? That's the one that was like really fun, high flying. Tanahashi did a plancha to the outside. I also loved his face paint. He had president all over. Presidente written all over his face. And I don't know if you noticed, but at the end of the night, Mystico is famous for being the guy that just stays in the crowd, glad handing everybody and all that and soaking up the glory. Tanahashi's like, you're not doing that alone. And Tanahashi like stayed neck and neck with him and like basically like stayed at the same pace with him and like didn't leave until he left.
Yeah.
So I thought that shit was funny.
That was funny. So yeah, that was a good main event. Hilarious. So for Kamatachi, his music.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up.
His music is, they don't have the rights for it, but instead of playing some like generic, rock music or stock music, whatever they have Hiromu like humming the song.
Bro, you're doing it better than he did it. Like he did it so like lazily, like like it doesn't even sound like it. And then at one point, did you listen to the whole song or not?
Yeah, he's like, he takes a breath. He's like,
at one point he goes. He like coughs into the fucking thing.
Bro, I was so confused at first because like Walker's like talking and then like I'm hearing this noise. I'm like, where's that coming from? Do I have something on my computer that's making that noise? I'm like, what's going on?
We forgot to mention that Hiroshi Tanahashi came out to High Energy. Before.
Yeah, they didn't have the rights for it.
But they didn't have the rights, so we couldn't hear it. Oh man, but yeah, I do like the new Kamatachi outfit. It's a lot better than what he used to wear in Mexico. But also, I don't like the idea. I don't know. I guess I was gonna say, like, I don't like the idea that he lost his mask and now he's wrestling with the mask again. But I guess it doesn't matter. He's Japanese. It's not real. Like whatever. But yeah. There was the controversy in the beginning of the evening. Bone Soldier Jr. for whatever reason decided to do the
Hail Hitler.
The Hail Hitler Nazi salute, which I don't know if you saw, but they've actually scrubbed that out of the version that's online now. Like
I didn't see that.
Yeah, now if you're watching it, it just like he's standing there and then it just transitions and you don't see it happen. So clearly, like someone told him, like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing this, but like. I've been watching anime for a long time and like I don't know why, but like Japanese like people, or I don't want to say Japanese people like as a monolith, but like for whatever reason in Japanese anime they have Nazi shit, all like problematic Nazi shit in anime all the time. So like I kind of get the vibe like maybe this is somewhat.
It is. Somebody in our Discord, it's from some anime character he's trying to like replicate.
Yeah, because I've seen it in anime over there like a lot, and I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, maybe don't do that. And also, this isn't the first time like Nazi stuff has happened in New Japan before. Like they've had it, other times too. So yeah, the Magnus match with Tiger Mask I felt like kind of a bore. He did kind of wear a homage to Black Tiger, but like I don't think they needed to go the 10-minute time limit. And I feel like this is going to be the annual, on the rest of the tour, we'll see Tiger Mask and Magnus like wrestle, until like they do some blow off later on in the tour, which is fine. I don't have much more. I mean, the semi-main event was also fairly good. I didn't think it was as good as the main event, but it was not bad. This whole show, though, honestly, if you want my honest opinion, I don't think it needed to make tape. Like it felt like a real true house show that was like, I should just waited until like you're ready to do the like Corkin shows. Yeah,
they could have started off with the show that's coming Friday and go from there. But it is what it is. Happened. Fine show. I would say watch anything, watch the main event, and go from there.
Thought Walker did a good job on his own for what it's worth.
Yeah, and he's getting those Spanish names. He had the history with the guys. It was good.
Do you ever get annoyed when white people like suddenly throw on the accent when they're pronouncing stuff? Bro, I kind of do. Like I can't explain it, but like I'm like, and this is not a knock at Walker. This is just in my general life. Like say it white,
It's bad when their accents look just really bad. And they can't roll the R's. They're not saying it right. It's like.
No, I admire that because they're trying their best. But I hate it when they get fancy with it, but they're talking completely normal, complete English, and then they're like, and I'm like, bro, you don't talk like that. Like, now if just they're appropriating their language,
But all I can think about is the Stephanie McMahon meme. It's like when you say gracias to the waiter at a Mexican restaurant, she has that cheesy smile on her face.
Bro, no joke. Maybe I'm telling myself, but like one time we were at Kobe and my mom was like, gracias, like to the chef. And I'm like, he's Asian. What the fuck? What are you doing? Oh man.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so we got Fantastica Mania action coming up. There's several shows that will not be aired, but the first taped show that will be making air on February 16th, night 2, we got Tiger Mask and De Fuente taking on Sho and Kanemaru. Second match, Dark Panther and Hanma taking on Francesco Akira and Okamura. Third match of the night, Desperado and Brillante Jr. versus Kamaitachi and Tetsuya Naito. Fourth match of the night, Yo, Tanahashi, and Atlantis Jr. versus Musashi, Taguchi, and Hechisero. Fifth match of the night, Templario, Doki, Mystico versus Doki. Wait, why is Doki facing Doki?
Oops.
Oh my god, what a botch.
Botchamania.
So Templario Mystico might be wrestling with or against Doki, and Soberano Jr. and Rocky Romero are on the opposite team, either with or without Doki. So something's happening here.
Hold on here. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Do we really need the correction?
We gotta have this accurate because somebody will correct this later. So let's.
I say wrong shit on the show all the time. Nobody corrects me.
It's Templario, Mascara Dorada, and Mystico against Doki, Soberano Jr., and Rocky Romero.
And then the sixth match of the night, semi-main event, we have the Faction Tag Team Tournament opening round as Magnus and Volador Jr. taking on the team of Pegaso and Stigma. The winner of that match will go on to face the winner of the main event, which is Bushi and Titan versus Stuka Jr. and Ultimo Guerrero. Third night, we have February 17th. And Jeremy, you want to run that down?
Yeah, so we have, I'm not sure how you pronounce these correctly, La Harashita and Yuvia will take on Stardom's Starlight Kid and Ruaka.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I appreciate you trying your best, but clearly doing it wrong. But, you're making the right effort.
Then we'll have Naito, Tsuji, and Kamatachi taking on, actually, Kojima's going to be out. They haven't updated that yet. Kojima has an injury. So some of it, I think Hanma will be replacing Kojima. So Hanma, Taguchi, and DeFuento. Then Tanahashi, Atlantis Jr., Dark Panther, and Yo versus Hechisero, Okamura, Sho, and Kanemaru. Soberano Jr. and Brillante Jr. taking on Doki and Templario. Then we'll have Mystico, Mascara Dorada, and Francesco Akira versus Rocky Romero, El Desperado, and Tiger Mask. And then the semi-main event will be the third place playoff in the Faction Tag Team Tournament. So the two losers from the previous night will face off, and then the main event will be the winners of those two matches facing off to determine the Faction Tag Team Tournament winner.
February 18th, we've got night 4 from Cork and Hall. Tanahashi, whoever's replacing Kojima and Pegaso, will take on Hanma, Tiger Mask, and Yo. Second match of the night, Naito, Tsuji, Kamaitachi, and Bushi taking on Sho, Kanemaru, Takahashi, and Magnus. Third match of the night, we have a challenge match between Titan and Brillante Jr. Fourth match of the night, Atlantis Jr., Dark Panther, and Musashi versus Hechisero, Okamura, and Doki. Fifth match of the night, the Black Cat Memorial match as Mystico, Mascara Dorada, El Desperado, and Stigma take on the team of Ultimo Guerrero, Stuka Jr., Francesco Akira, and DeFuento. Semi-main event, Soberano Jr. versus Templario, and then your main event, Rocky Romero versus Volador Jr.
Which should be great. And then the last night of the tour, we'll have Taguchi, Brillante Jr., and Yo versus Francesco Akira, Pegaso, and Stigma. Then we'll have Naito, Titan, Kamatachi, and Bushi versus Sho, Kanemaru, DeFuento, and Magnus. Dark Panther will take on Okamura. Atlantis Jr. will take on Hechicero. Then we'll have Tanahashi, Rocky Romero, Soberano Jr., and Tiger Mask against Volador, Templario, Desperado, and Musashi. Then semi-main event, we'll have Mystico versus Ultimo Guerrero. And then the main event will be Mascara Dorada taking on Stuka Jr.
Yeah, and we've seen Mystico and Ultimo Guerrero. That's a match that they've offered at the top of this tour many times in the past, or a couple, I should say. Maybe it's just once. I can't recall. But it is noteworthy that Mystico's not closing out the tour. They've got Mascara Dorada and Stuka Jr. in the main event of the biggest show of the tour, so that's pretty cool. One thing I just realized: did they not have the like VTR and the theme music at the beginning of this night show that we watched?
Honestly, I don't remember.
No, I don't think they did. Maybe that's one of the reasons I'm down on the tour, because I'm like, where's the like, where is that?
Mystico!
Yeah, like I love that shit. Anyway, so let's jump into the news. We got Windy, and also, by the way, like it's such a kick in the balls to have like all this time off and then suddenly 4 nights of Fantastica Mania back to back to back to back. Like, what are we doing? Why? Anyways, in the news, Windy City Riot, April 12th in Chicago. They've announced a couple matches there where Eddie Kingston will be taking on Gabe Kidd in an 8-man tag team match, and both men will have 3 mystery partners in a Riot Rules match. So the match will have no DQ or countouts, will be contested under Tornado tag team rules. And as of this time, we don't know who their tag team partners are, and they won't be known until they make their way to the ring. So I'm assuming both guys are going to bring in some heavy hitters, probably, right?
Yeah, I would think, yeah.
They've also announced the GOD 2.0, Tomohiro Ishii, Ren Narita, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry as new talents that are being announced for that show. I believe that they did put more tickets on sale. They've done pretty well, but they haven't sold out the top end tickets like they did for the first 2 sales that they had. So we're going to be at that show. So I'm assuming we're probably going to do some sort of meetup or grab a drink or something while we're there. So we'll figure it out. But, if you're in the area, you should probably go to that show. It's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
NJPW confirmed on Sunday that the IWGP World Heavyweight title champion will meet the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion in a one-on-one match on March 6th at Otaward. The previous anniversary shows have had similar champion versus champion matches, the last one taking place in 2021 when Ibushi defeated El Desperado. So as of right now, if the champions remain the same, you're going to be looking at Naito versus Desperado, which I'm sure there's some people right now like pissed off because they're thinking like, why couldn't have Hiromu just held the title? We could have got the match we were promised pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
NJPW Strong Resurgence. So, it's here. Yeah. Resurgence is a strong show. It's going to take place at the Toyota Arena in Ontario, California, May 11th. We had a question from the Discord daddy, MJ Does PR. He says, thoughts on Resurgence being in Ontario, California, a 10,000 seat arena. Will the Young Bucks be on this card?
Maybe, but it's very interesting to see that, yeah, these New Japan Strong shows are starting to run in bigger buildings. Obviously, great success so far for Wintrust, for Windy City Riot. So, yeah, hopefully they have something up their sleeve here and they do a similar strategy of announcing big matches ahead of time and stars, and maybe, so they can push some tickets there.
Yeah, I'm a little bit bearish on this strategy because, like, for instance, they did the show in Chicago and that's a great market, and they announced a big match, and it's the first time in a long time that they've done a real arena. And because of the timing of it all, I think there's a lot of things working in their favor to make people be like, oh, big building, big show, big marquee match, I gotta be there. But you don't, in my opinion, want to flood the market with too many of these, especially if it's not a strong market, especially if you don't have another marquee match on tap, and especially if it's too soon in proximity to the other big show that you did in the same, in this country. Plus, on Ontario, Canada is not necessarily like a hotbed market. It's not really,
Ontario, California.
what did I say?
Canada.
Okay, my bad. Same shit. Ontario, California isn't like a destination where like wrestling fans are gonna like go out in droves to go there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that California is that strong of a market where people are gonna, travel to Ontario, California for a big show like that. So I'm right now I'm bearish. Now, if they turn around and announce something that is capable of selling out the show and being a huge attraction, then sure. But I'm not confident they will. Like, I think that this is I don't know. I'm always perplexed by their business decisions, to be honest with you. Um, our good friend Rocky Romero now has an office job with AEW, so he's still going to be working with New Japan. But this has been, announced. I'm a little bit like, why? But good on him for getting the bag. But at the same time, like, damn, like, what the fuck's going on?
Hey, man, Rocky is the real rainmaker. This man's getting checks from New Japan, CMLL, AEW, MLW, 4 checks.
Keeping a strong style. He's actually our secret backer. He's been funding this shit all these years. Everybody knows. Due to an MCL injury, oh my god, are they going to strip him of his world title?
Hey, it's an MCL. He just needs some time to recover. Right. He'll be fine.
Due to an MCL injury, Satoshi Kojima has been pulled from more NJPW dates. Kojima will miss NJPW and CMLL's Fantastica Mania tour. So he's off the entirety of the tour, and it looks like Taguchi will be replacing him on the February 18th show, and Hanma will be replacing him from the 12th to the 17th. Other excursion news. So Orange Cassidy defeated Tomohiro Ishii this past Saturday on AEW Collision. There was an announcement for the first time ever, Daniel Makabe versus Zack Sabre Jr. for Prestige Roseland 8 on April 14th in 2024. Well, of course, in Portland, Oregon at the Roseland Theater. If you guys never seen Daniel Makabe wrestle, he's one of my favorite indie wrestlers. So that's a match I'm definitely going to want to see. Rev Pro Sunday, February 25th, Young Blood versus Sunshine Machine. So Young Blood, they're out there. They're not just both on excursion, but they're a tag team on excursion together. So
the last time we've seen that's probably what Show and Yo.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And then the MLW World Middleweight title is being defended as Rocky Romero, the champion, will defend against Mystico at MLW's Intimidation Games 24.
Nice. So we'll go to some last few questions here and then recommended match of the week. So Diego says, Azarian said AEW will do a show in a stadium in the U.S. My guess is that it will be Forbidden Door, but if you have to book the stadium, what stadium would it be? My pick would be the LA Galaxy Stadium that has 27,000 seats.
I don't know stadiums like that. It's not, Arthur Ashe is kind of a stadium, but at the same time, I don't know if people classify it as a stadium, you know what I mean? Because it's a tennis open air stadium. I don't know. I'm not the biggest like football or, fan, so I don't know the venues like that. I do wonder like if they couldn't, I don't know. I guess I don't know where they should do it.
Yeah, I think Forbidden Door could make sense, especially you're also adding the CMLL representation this year. So having the 3 promotions come together to do a show in a stadium could be a kind of a cool vibe. Where they're going to do it, I don't know. I'm not really familiar with what the Galaxy Stadium is in LA.
Yeah, but if they are planning to do something that's New Japan and CMLL aligned, Los Angeles would make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
for both companies, because we know how much New Japan they always they just got to cross the ocean and they're right there, and that's kind of been their MO. So I could see that actually being realistic, but I don't know. Part of me is like, I want to say like a stadium in Chicago, and I know that there's like Wrigley Field and there's like Soldier Field, but I don't know. Like, I can't imagine right now them doing like a football stadium. I think that's too big.
Yeah.
That's why probably that he's saying LA Galaxy. I'm assuming that's like a MLW, not MLW, like
MLS.
An MLS stadium, probably.
Yeah, the soccer team. Jace K 2002 says, somebody might have asked us already, but with Okada silhouette front and center of your logo, will you be changing it?
Nope. Maybe one day, not right now.
Yeah, we're keeping Okada for now.
We spend money on this shit. Here's what we will do. Y'all send us enough money to get the logo replaced and removed. We will change it, but we got to get new backdrops. We got to rebrand this shit. Cost money, so send us some money. Also, another thing, I do want to say this, and I know it's at the end of the show, but we have gotten some donations via Red Circle. We can't tell who gives us those donations. If you are somebody that is donating to the show via Red Circle, please shoot us an email or something. Let us know. If we don't have to shout you out on the show, we will if you want us to. But it'd be nice to at least know who's giving us money.
Yeah. So shout out to those, who are donating.
And the rest of you should, because we can't get rid of Okada just like how Okada left for the bag. We can't get rid of him unless we pay enough money. We spend money on this shit. It costs.
Yeah. And when we finalize our streaming tests here,
we're doing one right now, and I think it's going okay.
Yeah, the stream looks good. I think there's just a few things I'll have to work on with just cropping some stuff in the back end, but
I gotta figure out my setup. I'm still working on it.
But it's looking good, much better than the first test we did a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I think we're about there. So there'll be another way that you can contribute to the show when we
and it's entertaining, guys. You have no idea. You want to see this shit.
We'll expose that Josh is not black.
They pay me enough money, I'll expose some other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Turn this shit into OnlyFans.
Oh. Hold on a minute, player.
I'll whatever. You pay me enough money, everybody's got a price.
Oh, my God. Oh, man. You know what? That might be a good strategy, actually, now I think about it. Why are we wasting time with Red Circle donations? Just, the ladies love Young Boy. Let's capitalize off of that.
I know a couple wrestlers that are literally doing OnlyFans. And when I say wrestlers, I don't mean hot female wrestlers. I mean kind of ugly ass dudes. Where I'm like, bro, no one wants to see this shit. What are you doing?
Isn't Bad Dude Tito doing one?
I wasn't talking about him specifically, because Bad Dude Tito is a very attractive man. But yeah, I did see that he was doing. I wasn't gonna bring that up on there, but yeah, I did see he's doing OnlyFans, which tells me that they need to pay this dude so he doesn't have to do that shit unless he likes it. If he likes it, no judgments. I'm not gonna shame him, but this man should be headlining fucking shows, not doing streams on OnlyFans.
Last two questions here from Death Triangle 720. What can New Japan do to attract bigger sponsors like AEW or WWE?
Oh,
I mean, I'm not familiar with the companies that they work with, but it seems like they have a lot of sponsors.
I'm worried about Bushiroad and them not being able to fucking make money on games, and how that's resulting in us losing talent to AEW and just getting fucked over. So yeah. How about Bushiroad figure their shit out when it comes to video games? How about that?
Mm-hmm. His last question: if you had to book New Japan for March, what would you do?
I'm not going to book the whole company. No, I'm not booking the company. I'm not doing it.
I mean, March is New Japan Cup. I'd probably lean towards Zack Sabre winning again, putting the title on, having him beat Naito for the title of Secure Genesis. That's probably what I would do.
Nice.
So that wraps up the questions. A recommended match of the week. I believe when we left off, we recommended.
So you had recommended to me to watch Bryan Danielson versus Yuji Nagata from the January 27th episode of AEW Collision. And I had recommended the January 14th match between Josh Alexander and Will Ospreay from TNA Impact episode 1017.
Gotcha. So what did you think about Nagata Danielson?
So I watched that once and was distracted and was not super impressed. And I was like, I need to rewatch this. I didn't pay attention. So I watched it again today. And I really loved it. I thought this was it's not a match where I'd be like, this was a match of the year contender or anything like that. But for what it was, which was a really, really cool, really awesome, like old school psychology filled television match, this was an excellent, excellent television match. They told a great story, like Nagata being the old master and, you know, just kind of fucking up Bryan Danielson's arm, especially since he'd already had the injury kind of going back, plus the fact that, you know, Nagata has all of these arm focused submission maneuvers. And then, you know, Danielson just being a very giving performer. We've seen in several of these matches recently where like he beats the guys, but he makes them look like $1 million. He made Nagata, who is, you know, admittedly great, but he really like let Nagata shine in this match and very hard hitting. Just an old school psychology remind me of like a lot of 90s Puroresu matches, and both guys working different body parts and, you know, striking each other hard. And then ultimately at the end, like Danielson hits him with the Baisaku knee and, you know, beats him 1, 2, 3. Nigel McGuinness being the biggest hater ever on commentary.
Clam Digger Danielson.
Yeah. He's like, this man Nagata's actually had MMA fights. The closest thing that Danielson's ever had to an MMA fight is getting his hair braided.
Yeah.
And then at one point he got put in the Nagata lock, and Danielson had to escape for the ropes. And he was like, the real greatest technical wrestler in the world wouldn't have to escape via rope break. He's like, they would have reversed it. So yeah, it was a great match. Very, very fun. And, yeah, I mean, I would definitely say, like, if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. I don't think it's a high-end, like, excursion match of the year contender, but for what it was, you know, a nice TV match. It wasn't really set up. It wasn't even the main event of that night's show.
Right, yeah. It was a match that kind of helped Bryan get ready for the Sabre match.
Yep, correct.
Yeah, so good stuff. Yeah, I watched it today, too. Yeah, it was really, really good TV match.
And then another match, which is also a TV match, but this was not a TV match in the same way that was a TV match. Like Josh Alexander versus Will Ospreay, the rematch. Like, honestly, I'll be honest. I watched the match they had last year, and we had put it on the excursion list, but I hadn't seen it when we did that. And after I watched it, I was kind of regretting. I was like, it's really good, but it was probably, in my opinion, not deserving to be on that list. It was like it was close to being cut in general, but yeah. Like I was like, it's really good, but it probably shouldn't be there. This match blew that match away, and it built upon it in so many ways. And it was everything that I thought the first match could have been and more. And I think it's got a real arguable, it might be the best singles match in TNA history.
Yeah, it definitely will be up there. It was really, really great. And like you mentioned, they built up callbacks from the first match, and also, you know, Will's always wanted to wrestle in TNA. That's what he, you know, kind of watched growing up. So, you know, he was pulling out some like AJ Styles stuff as well. And it was almost like a kind of a AJ Styles kind of Kurt Angle style matchup in a way, similar some of the spots and similar styles. So, yeah, this was a really, really great match.
Yeah, they worked together like at such a high level, and the reversals, and there was an incredible table spot, and they let the match continue, and they went. They like really, really went. And I know it wasn't worked in front of a live television audience, like this was taped, but like basically they did a pay-per-view main event and then just aired it on television. So I mean, anybody that, if you haven't seen that show, it's actually available. The match is available for free on YouTube. So there's no reason, if you haven't seen it, that you shouldn't see it. But like,
I also think they've uploaded it to NJPW World, I think, also.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah. It's probably in better quality on YouTube, but it was outstanding. It really, really was. And then Josh Alexander picked up the 1, 2, 3. He needed the win in storyline because he hadn't really lost like back-to-back losses like he just recently had in years, and like a third definitive loss to Ospreay would have just been disastrous for his character and his career. And so like, again, here's Ospreay doing business on the way out. I hear people say like this doesn't happen, that people don't put people over on the way out anymore, but like this man's going out of his way to lose big matches in the companies, and we know that he's about to go to Rev Pro and lose to fucking
Oku.
Yeah, to Michael Oku. Dave went 5.5 on this. I don't think I'm 5.5 on it, but I'm easy 4.5, and I think it's an easy early consideration for excursion match of the year.
Yeah, I'm 4.5 also.
Yeah, like just incredible, and you really need to see it. And I don't want the show to go too much longer, so I'm not gonna do a full recap on the match. But I'm telling you, you need to see Josh Alexander versus Will Ospreay too. It's outstanding.
Yes,
I liked it a lot better than Will Ospreay's match with Mike Bailey from the year prior.
Yeah. Well, that's going to wrap things up. Actually, do you have a recommended match for us for this week?
Yeah, you know what? Let's do the Rev Pro match from a couple months back between Will Ospreay and Gabe Kidd.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that match. Yeah, that'll be good.
Gotta watch this shit.
Yeah. I don't have anything, so I guess we'll just do that for now, and then we'll come back next week and review that. So that's going to wrap the show up for us here this week. Next week, we'll be back to review Fantastica Mania and do our predictions for New Beginning in Sapporo. If you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure to connect with us on social media. On X, you can follow us at KI Strong Style, at Social Suplex, and at Jeremy L. Donovan. On Facebook, follow us at facebook.com/Social and the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group. On Reddit, I am the Pro Black Guy, and Josh is Keeping It Strong Style. You can join our Social Suplex Discord server to interact with us and other wrestling fans. You can email me, Jeremy, at socialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite, hosted by Floyd Johnson Jr. and Austin Sumowitz. Imp's WWE Adventure with the Implications of Matthew Mayer. Wrestling Art with Chris Things. Tunnel Talk with Ali and Leah. And the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.